the boy started out by awakening the only mythical grade talent in the world. He should have easily crushed all his peers. Yet, he chose a shriveled kidney as his contracted beast. His grandfather beside him was utterly stunned. Little did anyone know, what truly awakened within him was the mythical grade Eye of Revelation. By normal standards, this should have been nothing more than an ordinary silver carp. But under his talent, it could evolve into the divine beast, Kuanping. This was a world where beast tamers ruled above all. Some bonded with crimson-eyed, golden-scaled fish to dominate the seas. Others contracted flame phoenixes to soar across the heavens. By law, everyone had to undergo the awakening ceremony at the age of 18. Those who succeeded could enter a Beast Tamer Academy, rewriting their destiny and climbing to the peak of life. Those who failed would be cast down to the very bottom of society. And today marked the annual Awakening Day. While the other candidates trembled in fear, he lounged at home, sipping coffee without a care. Because from the moment he was born, he was destined to stand at the top. Not only did he have 8-pack abs and unmatched looks, more importantly, this boy's name was Xian, and his background was extraordinary. His grandfather ruled Whitescale City, and his father was a military powerhouse, which was why he had been walking sideways in Whitescale City since childhood. Of course, in this beast-taming world, without talent, no amount of money or power could earn true respect. At first, Xian had worried about this awakening ceremony. A month earlier, he had already self-awakened a level 1 beast taming talent, Intuition. Intuition not only let him avoid danger in battle, but even helped him subdue spirit beasts. So the awakening ceremony no longer held much weight for him. Yet his grandfather, Bai Jingchong, still warned him not to underestimate it. After all, the Federation's awakening stone had a history unlike any other. It was said that at the dawn of the new era, countless fierce beasts descended upon the world, driving humanity to the brink of extinction. In that desperate moment, the ancestors discovered the awakening stone, and with it, the very first generation of beast tamers awakened their talents. Humanity survived, ushering in the age of beast taming. That mysterious awakening stone became the cornerstone of the entire 9 provinces beast tamer civilization. For newcomers to become beast tamers, they had to go through 3 stages: awakening their talent, building their beast space, and contracting a beast. Even among noble clans, there were always prodigies who awakened early. Yet they still took part in the annual awakening ceremony. Their true purpose was to harness the power of the awakening consciousness to construct their beast space. Hearing this, Xian finally set aside his arrogance. He resolved to take the awakening ceremony seriously. Moments later, he arrived at the awakening plaza in his family's Rolls-Royce. As soon as he stepped out of the car, a chorus of screams erupted from love-struck girls. But he was already used to it. After all, he was the crown prince of Whitescale City. The line of girls wanting to marry him could stretch from the south of the city to the north. Just then, a fat figure squeezed out of the crowd. Without a word, the boy lunged straight at him. It was his childhood friend, Yuan Patian. Because of that heroic name, Xian once thought Yuan was the real protagonist. But as the years passed and Yuan's waistline grew rounder, Xian gradually gave up that idea. At that moment, a sharp, mocking voice cut through the noise. A red-haired girl in a short skirt stepped forward. She was Feng Qinyu, the daughter of Whitescale City's deputy lord. With arrogance, she declared that if Xian surrendered quietly, she might let him off. Xian, however, could only sigh helplessly. A month earlier, he had made a bet with Feng Qinyu. Whoever awakened the stronger talent would be the winner, and the loser would have to fulfill one request from the victor, no conditions attached. Although it was Feng Qinyu who had forced this bet, seeing her arrogant demeanor, Xian couldn't help but look forward to the scene of her losing. He muttered inwardly, "Little Phoenix, you'd better not cry when the time comes." Hearing this, Feng Qinyu exploded in anger. "Damn you, Xian, don't you dare call me Little Phoenix. One day, I'll completely conquer you." As they parted, Yuan Patian warned Xian to be careful. The Feng family had recently obtained a treasure, and she was likely coming well prepared. Bai Ziyan suddenly understood. No wonder Feng Qinyu was so confident. Yet even so, his intuition still didn't sense any threat from her, so he was certain she wouldn't cause him real trouble. Soon after, with City Lord Bai Jingchong delivering his speech, the annual awakening ceremony officially began. The Federation activated the Awakening Stone, projecting its spiritual power into every major city. Bai Ziyan was among the first batch of candidates to enter the Grand Hall. He quickly found his seat and sat cross-legged. His awakening ceremony began. Gradually, the awakening power flowed throughout his body. But in the next instant, a surge of overwhelming force struck him like heavenly thunder. The energy inside him immediately spiraled out of control. It rampaged like a wild stallion that had broken free of its reins. The violent force then rushed straight toward his head. Bai Ziyan knew well that the brain was the most vital organ. If it took damage, he might end up a fool. Just as he was about to give up on the awakening, his intuition told him this might be a tremendous opportunity. With that insight, he instantly calmed down. In that moment, he chose to trust his intuition. Yet the strange phenomenon caused by his awakening quickly drew the attention of the examiners. And when they learned this was none other than the City Lord's grandson, Bai Ziyan, the chief examiner could no longer remain seated. The chief examiner immediately ordered his men to notify the City Lord at once. If anything went wrong, none of them could bear the responsibility. Before long, Bai Jingchong rushed to the Grand Hall with a grim face. But when he looked up and saw the colossal eye looming in the heavens, his pupils widened in shock as he cried out, "A talent phenomenon!" His face was filled with disbelief. After all, only talents of S rank or higher could give birth to such a phenomenon. Yet Shao had only awakened a mere level 1 beast taming talent. How could this be possible? Could it be Shao N's intuition talent had mutated into S rank? In the beast taming world, it wasn't only spirit beasts that could mutate. Humans too possessed the possibility of mutation. But throughout the entire history of beast tamers, those who had undergone talent mutation were vanishingly few, and every single one of them became a legend remembered for all time. Yet Bai Jingchong knew well, talent mutation meant not only fortune, but also immense peril. What's more, the Awakening Hall was under the direct control of the Federation. Even as the Lord of Whitescale City, he had no authority to interfere. All he could do now was pray that if Shao failed his awakening, the hall's protective mechanism would at least save his life. As for what was happening outside, Bai Ziyan remained completely unaware. All he felt was his head splitting apart, as if it were about to burst. Then a mysterious phrase surfaced in his mind. The heavens know, the earth knows, and you know. In the next instant, his eyeballs cracked open, transforming into golden pupils. At once, a line of information appeared before his eyes, declaring that he had awakened a mythical grade talent, the Eye of Revelation. Bai Ziyan's heart trembled in shock. He knew there were only 9 tiers of beast-taming talents, with SSS rank already being the pinnacle. Yet what he had awakened, a mythical grade talent, was something unheard of. Could it truly surpass even Triple S rank? Just as Bai Ziyan was puzzled, he suddenly noticed that above every person's head floated an information box. This was the effect of the Eye of Revelation. Within its range, nothing could be hidden from his sight. If he could see all of an opponent's cards before a battle even began, wouldn't his chances of victory skyrocket? The thought made him secretly giddy. He began scanning the talents of the surrounding candidates. Most were D rank or C rank. Of course, a few prodigies had awakened A-rank beast talents. To further test the Eye of Revelation, he turned his gaze toward the Awakening Stone. The next second, he froze in disbelief, staring at the information that appeared. According to the Eye of Revelation, the Awakening Stone wasn't a stone at all, but a living spirit beast, one of godly rank. Cold sweat trickled down his back. Did the Federation know? If this divine beast were to awaken, it would shake the entire 9 provinces. Clearly, the beast-taming world was far more complicated than it appeared. Still, that was far beyond his reach for now. What mattered most was raising his strength. Soon, a staff member instructed by Xian to place his hand on the testing machine. As the examiner hit the start button, his heart began to race. He expected his mythical grade talent to blind everyone present with awe. But the machine identified it only as an A-rank psychic talent, intuition. The very next moment, the computer glitched, flashing the same message over and over, unable to identify. While the staff looked on in confusion, the overseer of the Awakening Hall stepped forward, explaining that the device could only identify talents below S rank. And so, Bai Xian's talent was officially recorded as S rank super intuition. Bai Xian was stunned for a moment at the announcement. But then, the hall's broadcast declared that he had awakened an S rank talent. Instantly, he became the center of attention once more, countless boys and girls casting admiring glances his way. The sudden wave of enthusiasm was almost overwhelming. On his way out, he unexpectedly ran into his grandfather. Bai Xian thought he would be scolded for not using the chance to build his B space. Instead, Bai Jingchong smiled kindly, saying that having his talent upgraded from A rank to S rank was what truly mattered. With their family's wealth, building his B space would be no problem. Bai Xian had wanted to tell his grandfather the truth, that he had actually awakened a mythical grade talent. But just as he opened his mouth, his intuition warned him, "Do not speak." Left with no choice, he began studying the functions of the Eye of Revelation. First was Intelligence Scan. It could see through any opponent's details, and it had no restrictions of strength whatsoever. Second was Treasure Sense. Within 10 meters of him, no treasure could escape his vision. Imagining this power growing as his strength increased, he couldn't help but dream. One day, the detection range might cover the entire world, and by then, he would become the all-knowing, almighty God. Just then, another phenomenon flared up behind Bai Xian. A blazing phoenix, its entire body wreathed in crimson flames, spread its wings in the sky. From his grandfather's words, he learned this was the S-rank talent Phoenix Flame. It seemed that little miss of the Feng family wasn't so bad after all. Bai Xian immediately thought of that fiery-tempered little phoenix. He had wanted to show off in front of her, but on the surface, both of them were S-rank, so it could only be considered draw. Since Bai Xian had awakened an S-rank talent, his grandfather feared someone might set their sights on him. At once, he assigned Bai Ji and Bai Xiao to guard him closely from this day on. One with fiery red hair, Bai Ji, and one with icy blue hair, Bai Xiao. Both were golden rank beast tamers. Soon after, his grandfather handed him the key to the family treasury, instructing him to use the spirit crystals inside to construct his beast space. Holding the key, Bai Xian was momentarily dazed. Spirit crystals contained immense metallic power, vital for the growth of a beast space. Even a single ordinary spirit crystal cost at least 1,000,009 provinces coins. But when he opened the family treasury, what greeted him was a dazzling array of treasures stacked high. One wall was completely buried under spirit crystals. Roughly calculated, a single chest held about 300 crystals, worth 300 million. And there were more than a dozen identical iron chests lined up, outrageously extravagant. Normally, the strength of one's beast space was directly tied to their talent. An S-rank beast tamer would need around 30 spirit crystals. As for a mythical talent like Bai Xian's, it would take hundreds at the very least. Yet, when he activated the Eye of Revelation, a revelation descended. There were 3 possible methods to construct a beast space. Among them, the perfect mythical beast space required exactly 999 spirit crystals. With wealth beyond measure, Bai Xian didn't hesitate. He chose the perfect mythical beast space outright. As the surrounding crystals disintegrated into energy, his beast space within began to expand. Time blurred, and when Bai Xian finally opened his eyes, the sight before him left him breathless. His beast space was vast beyond imagination. While others had no more than a 10 square meter blank space, his spanned at least 10,000 square meters, complete with mountains and rivers. Even more shocking, according to the Eye of Revelation, his beast space carried 3 additional effects. To think, beast spaces with even a single effect were 1 in a million. Yet Byzantians had 3, and each one was defying the very heavens. In the beast-taming world, there was an unspoken rule. The greater a beast's potential, the longer its growth cycle. Many tamers perished long before their beasts reached maturity. But within Byzantian's beast space, the growth time of spirit beasts could be drastically shortened. With this effect alone, he was destined to become the youngest genius beast tamer in history. The second effect was the removal of all negative conditions. If a beast was injured or poisoned in battle, simply recalling it into the beast space and releasing it again would restore it to a perfect state. The third effect was even more heaven-defying. Normally, a beast's innate talent was fixed at birth. Yet in his beast space, talents could be elevated and with no limit to the number of times. The next moment, Byzantian pushed open the doors of the treasury. His parents and grandfather were already waiting for him outside. To his shock, he learned that constructing his beast space had unknowingly taken an entire week. Back home, under his grandfather's relieved gaze, Byzantian revealed that he had consumed 999 spirit crystals to complete it. His father nearly leapt in fright. Clutching his chest, he cursed his son as a prodigal. Even Bai Jingchong, usually calm and composed, broke into a cold sweat. He hadn't imagined a mutated S-rank talent could drain such staggering resources. Luckily, the Bai family was wealthy enough to withstand it. Otherwise, they couldn't possibly afford him. After resting and eating his fill, his grandfather led him to the Bai family's spirit beast egg vault. As a water-type beast tamer clan, the Bai family not only had a steady supply of aquatic beasts, but also the resources required to raise them. Thus, every Bai clan heir's first contracted beast was always water-type. Yet the eggs here were at best of gold rank, far from enough for Byzantian. So his grandfather took him to see his own bonded beast, a diamond-rank, crimson-eyed, golden-scaled fish. However, when Byzantian activated the Eye of Revelation, he was stunned to find that the beast's very essence was damaged. After communicating with it for a while, the great fish produced 2 freshly laid eggs. His grandfather then told Byzantian to choose one. Using the Eye of Revelation, Byzantian examined the first egg. It held only diamond-rank potential at the lower tier. But when he turned to the second, he was shocked to discover it possessed top-tier purple-gold potential, and was even born with dual talents. To think such a monstrous descendant could be born from the crimson-eyed, golden-scaled fish. Byzantian immediately declared he wanted that egg. Yet his grandfather froze upon hearing this. The egg looked frail from the start, and might not even survive to hatch. Yet Byzantian knew in his heart, this was the partner most suited for him. In the entire myriad web nest world, no better water-type beast could be found. Hearing this, his grandfather no longer objected, but insisted they first gain the crimson-eyed, golden-scaled fish's approval. To their surprise, the great fish performed a strange act. It spat out a golden scale and pushed it along with the fragile egg before Byzantian. His grandfather explained this was the beast's core scale, which would amplify the skills of any water-type spirit beast. It was a gift of gratitude, for choosing the weaker egg had greatly increased the survival chance of its offspring. Byzantian solemnly promised the mighty fish that he would raise its child with all his strength. Back home, he placed the egg beside the core scale. Following the Eye of Revelation's guidance, he mixed in all kinds of high-grade materials into a nutrient solution. As the egg absorbed the liquid, its once shriveled shell swelled, becoming plump and healthy. Seeing this, Byzantian finally relaxed. At last, he could contract the white-scale fish. He channeled his power into the egg, and moments later a glowing contract appeared. When the light fully merged with the egg, his first beast was officially bound. The next instant, a crack split the shell. Under his watchful gaze, a white-scale fish broke free, shimmering before him. 1 month later, the white-scale fish faced its very first battle. Against a razor-toothed shark that had been nurtured for 2.5 years, it won in just 3 moves. After contracting, Byzantian had immediately placed the fish into his beast space, where it absorbed the space's effects. It awakened a new S-rank talent, Nether Force, and its potential skyrocketed from top-tier purple gold to mid-tier monarch. But the fish's uniqueness meant no peer within the clan could rival it. To grow stronger, it had to train outside. In the beast-taming world, there were 12 realms from unranked to divine. Unranked beasts were immature, divided into 9 stages. Once matured, they entered the iron rank, where true evolution began. Bye-bye family methods. The white-scale fish could only evolve into another crimson-eyed golden-scaled fish. Yet the revelation showed a different path. Its evolution chain pointed to the divine beast, Kuanpun. Since hatching, the white-scale fish had already defeated every water-type beast of its generation in the clan. To push it into iron rank and awaken its bloodline evolution, Byzantine resolved to take it out for training. His first destination, Torch City, one of the 7 satellite cities under White-Scale City. As Byzantine arrived at the train station with Bai Xiao, Feng Qinyu suddenly caught up to him. She shouted at the top of her lungs, demanding to know why he was avoiding her. Byzantine replied helplessly. Last time, both of them had awakened S-rank talents. The duel had ended in a draw, so the wager was naturally void. But the little phoenix was clearly unwilling to accept it. She reached out from behind, ready to grab him, only for Bai Xiao to seize her wrist in an instant. Feeling the aura of a golden rank beast tamer, Feng Qinyu flushed and quickly pulled her hand back. Still, she refused to give up and challenged him to another bet. After school started, their beasts would fight. If she won, Byzantine would be her boyfriend. If she lost, she would be his girlfriend. Seeing her stubbornness, Byzantine reluctantly agreed. Honestly, if not for the ties between their elders, he would have long since beaten this fiery girl into submission. Moments later, the train bound for Torch City arrived. To ensure passenger safety, the train itself was a modified spirit beast, an enormous 1,000-blade centipede. On board, Byzantine encountered a group of students also heading out to hunt spirit beasts. Out of curiosity, he activated the Eye of Revelation, only to find they were ordinary students with nothing but common contracts. But when he turned his gaze farther ahead, he was shocked to see a white-haired girl who had awakened an S-rank talent, one that actually absorbed the luck of others. As he wondered about this, another girl walking by suddenly twisted her ankle and fell flat right beside the white-haired girl. Scrambling up, the girl cursed, "What bad luck running into you! If something happens to me, can you take responsibility?" The white-haired girl, timid and weak, only stammered, "I'm sorry." The scene left Byzantine stunned. A genius with an S-rank talent should have drawn the attention of White-Scale City during the awakening ceremony. Why had no one reported her, leaving her to grow wild in a small city? Driven by curiosity, he summoned Bai Ji. In the blink of an eye, she appeared behind him like a phantom. Byzantine ordered her to investigate the girl's background. If he could bring her under his wing, she would surely become a powerful asset for the Bai family. Soon after, he took his white-scale fish to the volcanic region to grind levels. The area was crawling with low-tier torch spiders. Though the white-scale fish was weaker in rank, with 2 S-rank talents and monarch-tier potential, its combat power was anything but ordinary. Even when surrounded by packs of torch spiders, it cut them down with ease, killing far above its level. But as its strength grew, stronger opponents were needed to hone its skills. In this world, skill mastery was divided into 5 stages: beginner, skilled, minor completion, major completion, and perfection. While the white-scale fish had already learned 5 abilities, without training, they could only be unleashed at their weakest level. Take a swordsman, for example. A beginner could barely split a wooden post. But after years of practice, once reaching perfection, he could cleave through a mountain with a single strike. That was the difference mastery brought. 2 weeks later, after countless torch spiders had fallen, the white-scale fish finally reached unranked stage 8. Its skill water burst reached skilled level, while water cannon advanced to minor completion. At this pace, its bloodline evolution would soon begin. Meanwhile, Bai Ji uncovered the truth about the white-haired girl. Her name was Qiao Guin. Cursed with ill fate, she lost her parents young and was left without a single elder. Her parents' deaths even saddled her with debts. If not for awakening her talent, she likely would have been sold off by creditors. Yet even after entering the Beast Tamer Academy, she remained shunned. Anyone who got close to her inevitably suffered misfortune. Fortunately, Xiao Guiying was resilient. Misfortune hadn't crushed her. Instead, she worked part-time after classes to pay off her debts, though the shops she worked at often went bankrupt soon after. Hearing this, Bai Ziyan grew even more intrigued by the girl and asked what exactly had happened on her awakening day. Bai Ji explained, the moment she awakened, the testing machine broke down. The staff member on duty was in a rush to catch his cheating wife, so he hastily recorded her result as F rank. Bai Ziyan was stunned. Her talent was so uncanny it even affected objects. A prodigy like this could not be overlooked. He immediately ordered Bai Ji to arrange her transfer to the Beast Tamer Academy in Whitescale City. But Bai Ji's face suddenly lit up with excitement, a blush coloring her cheeks, as if she had misunderstood the relationship between him and Xiao Guiying. Unexpectedly, at that very moment, Xiao Guiying was chased into view by a massive torch spider. A hero saving the beauty? Bai Ziyan certainly wasn't going to miss such a chance. In an instant, he summoned his white-scale fish. A torrent of water exploded forth, tearing the spider apart in one strike. Xiao Guiying stood frozen, wide-eyed in shock. Bai Ji, on the other hand, smirked and teased, truly a match made in heaven. Bai Ziyan's mind went blank. Wait, what's going on here? And then, Bai Ji promptly vanished from the scene, leaving only Bai Ziyan and Xiao Guiying standing face to face. With no choice, he braced himself and walked toward her. When Bai Ziyan offered his hand, Xiao Guiying's face instantly flushed crimson. She quickly stood up on her own, whispering that she had seen him before on the train. Bai Ziyan introduced himself, pointing out that the beast beside him was his partner, the white-scale fish. From her, he then learned she had been separated from her classmates after encountering a mutated torch spider. The moment Bai Ziyan heard the words mutated spider, his eyes lit up as if he could already see the flood of experience points. Without hesitation, he grabbed Xiao Guiying's small hand in excitement. But she looked downcast, warning him that the place was dangerous, and that her misfortune would only bring him bad luck. Yet once the prize was within reach, how could Bai Ziyan let slip away? If persuasion didn't work, then he would press harder. Under his unyielding stance, Xiao Guiying had no choice but to lead him to the mutated spider's lair. Bai Ziyan smirked inwardly. Once she witnessed his heroic figure crushing the beast, wouldn't she be completely won over? With her guidance, he set off for the lair, eager to push the white-scale fish into iron rank and trigger its bloodline evolution. But something was off. Low-tier spirit beasts rarely mutated. Yet this mutated Spider King had awakened with dual talents. Bai Ziyan immediately suspected some rare treasure was hidden within the cave. Wasting no time, he summoned the white-scale fish for battle. At his command, the fish unleashed torrents of water, wiping out the lesser torch spiders in an instant. As expected, the Spider King roared furiously, commanding its swarm to attack all at once. But the white-scale fish was a water-type beast, naturally suppressing these fire-line spiders. In the blink of an eye, countless jets of water erupted from its jaws. The mutated Spider King clearly hadn't expected it. A mere fish not even at iron rank unleashing such terrifying power. But in its eyes, daring to slaughter its brood right before it was nothing but courting death. At its command, waves of blazing fire erupted, surging toward the white-scale fish. Bai Ziyan instantly ordered his beast to activate stream velocity. In a flash, the fish's speed skyrocketed, slipping past every fiery strike. The Spider King, unable to land a hit, opened its blood-soaked jaws in a mocking roar. Bai Ziyan only sneered, commanding his partner to clear the battlefield first. Moments later, the white-scale fish darted through the swarm, cutting down every lesser spider without taking a scratch. Driven into madness, the Spider King ignited with eerie blue flames across its body. Bai Ziyan smirked coldly. So, you're finally going all out." He had thought the beast already spent, but its cunning soon revealed itself. Though the white scale fish dodged every strand of webbing, each attack left behind threads of silk. Slowly, the lair was covered, its movements growing restricted. Without hesitation, Byzantine commanded, "Use netherwater corrosion." At once, dark water gathered around the white scale fish. In an instant, the webbing across the cavern dissolved into nothing. Feeling the dreadful aura, the Spider King recoiled in terror. But the next second, the fish unleashed the netherwater as countless spears of water. The barrage spread like a heavenly net, sealing off every escape. The moment the Spider King touched the dark waters, its body melted into a pool of blood. Victory secured, Byzantine finally exhaled in relief. Yet at that very moment, the white-scale fish, drained of energy, began to plummet. Seeing the situation, Byzantine quickly recalled the white-scale fish into his beast space to restore its strength. At that moment, the Eye of Revelation notified him that the white-scale fish had advanced to unranked Stage 9. The goal of this training was fulfilled. Just one more level, and the fish could begin its bloodline evolution. Byzantine then brought Xiao Guin along to harvest the spoils. Staring at the pile of flesh on the ground, he couldn't help but feel anticipation for the treasures hidden within. To his surprise, Xiao Guin suddenly snatched the dagger from his hand. Watching her precise, practiced movements, Byzantine was taken aback. Who would have thought that this seemingly fragile girl could act with such decisiveness? Moments later, Xiao Guin handed him a glowing green crystal, her eyes shining with excitement. It was an awakening stone, capable of granting spirit beasts new talents. Until now, Byzantine had only seen two things that could awaken talents: the Federation's awakening stones and his own beast space, which meant that even such a small shard was a priceless treasure across the entire 9 provinces. And before he even activated the Eye of Revelation, Xiao Guin had already uncovered the cave's most precious item. Her S-rank infernal talent clearly had extraordinary value in treasure hunting. Without hesitation, Byzantine asked her if she was willing to join the Bai family. Her cheeks instantly flushed red. She turned back in disbelief, whispering, You want to recruit me?" Byzantine smiled faintly and nodded. But Xiao Guin still believed she would only bring misfortune, fearing her curse would drag him down. Yet under Byzantine's steady encouragement and persistence, she finally agreed. Overjoyed, Byzantine decided to give her a gift. Tearing open a massive spiderweb, he uncovered a horde of spirit beast eggs. Just as he suspected, the Spider King's brood had mutated, forming an entirely new subspecies. If raised properly, they could bring tremendous benefit to the Bai family. After all, Xiao Guin's current pet, a drill bug, had too little potential and was unworthy of her talent. As a condition for joining the Bai family, Byzantine offered her the chance to choose one of the mutated eggs. Hearing this, Xiao Guin hesitated. After all, a beast tamer had only 2 ways to recontract a new beast: either forcefully break the bond and release the old one, or kill it outright. After a moment's struggle, Xiao Guin finally chose one of the eggs. Seeing her decision, Byzantine nodded in satisfaction. As expected, her infernal talent had led her straight to the egg with the highest potential. Byzantine explained the 2 ways to break a beast contract to Xiao Guin. The first was to forcefully sever it, risking backlash and even death. The second was to kill the contracted beast, cruel but safe. Having said this, he stepped aside, waiting to see her choice. As he expected, Xiao Guin chose to forcefully break the contract. The next instant, a mouthful of black blood spilled from her lips. Thankfully, she survived without serious harm. When she released her drill bug with her own hands, Byzantine's lips curved faintly upward. He knew he had chosen the right person. Soon after, he brought Xiao Guin to the black market of Torch City. He had only intended to use the Eye of Revelation to casually pick up a bargain, yet he truly stumbled upon a rare treasure. It was a monarch-grade beast core, dull and without energy flow, but marked with a skill imprint. For such a treasure to appear in a backwater city was unthinkable. Clearly, Xiao Guin's luck-twisting talent was at work. Taking advantage of the shopkeeper's ignorance, Bai Ziyan slashed the price to just 100,000. But then, a purple-haired youth suddenly appeared, claiming he wanted the core as well. He immediately bid 200,000. Bai Ziyan's expression darkened. "Friend, don't you think you're crossing the line?" The purple-haired man sneered, not only insulting him as a pauper, but also boasting that, as the mayor's nephew, he could secure Bai Ziyan a toilet cleaning job. The next moment, his eyes caught Xiao Guin hiding behind Bai Ziyan. Seeing her delicate beauty, a lewd grin spread across his face. Bai Ziyan, heir of White Scale City, never imagined someone would dare to insult him as a beggar. Without hesitation, he activated the Eye of Revelation, intent on beating this fool until even his mother wouldn't recognize him. The purple-haired youth only laughed coldly, thinking Bai Ziyan was risking his life just to show off in front of a girl. With a snap, he sent his red flame hound lunging forward. Rather than summon the white scale fish immediately, Bai Ziyan chose to fight barehanded. Protected by his family all his life, opportunities to clash directly with beasts were rare. Yet after a brief exchange, he quickly grew bored of the mutt. With a single strike, he sent the hound flying. Enraged, the purple-haired youth cursed. "How dare you? Hurt my dog, and you're a dead man." He then ordered the hound to unleash its flowing fire skill. At this point, Bai Ziyan no longer held back. He summoned the white scale fish. But the purple-haired youth revealed his treachery, secretly releasing a second beast to launch a sneak attack. Though Bai Ziyan narrowly avoided the deadly strike, his opponent now had a second beast, a mid-tier iron rank firefly serpent, making the battle far more dangerous. Bai Ziyan immediately commanded the white scale fish to finish it quickly. Yet the purple-haired youth only grinned viciously, clearly preparing another move. In the next instant, the white scale fish was engulfed in countless sparks. A violent explosion shook the ground. The purple-haired youth burst into mocking laughter, calling Bai Ziyan a worthless fool and even feigning pity for his beast. But Bai Ziyan only smirked. "You don't actually think you've won, do you?" At that moment, the white scale fish burst out of the flames. Seizing the chance while his enemy was off guard, it whipped its tail and instantly crushed the red flame hound. It then turned on the firefly serpent, unleashing a powerful water cannon, perfectly countering its fire element. Watching both his beasts fall in an instant, the purple-haired youth trembled, unable to believe it. How can an unranked beast be this strong? Bai Ziyan sneered, patting his shoulder, and repeated the very insults the youth had thrown at him earlier. Unable to accept defeat, the purple-haired youth pulled out a dagger and lunged at Bai Ziyan. But just then, Bai Xiao appeared, slamming down her 20-centimeter high heel and ending him on the spot. This time, she had come bearing a secret letter from Bai Ziyan's grandfather. Back at the hotel, Bai Ziyan opened it, discovering that it contained the final materials needed for the white scale fish's evolution. At last, it was ready to break into iron rank and undergo its first evolution. It's happening. My beast will finally evolve into the divine beast Kunpeng. Bai Ziyan's heart surged with excitement. Into the sea as Kun, into the sky as Peng. 3 forms in total, with 9 stages of evolution. From fish to whale, from whale to Kun, and from Kun to Peng, destined to become the god that ruled both ocean and sky. The next second, the white scale fish lunged straight at him, nearly sending him flying. Half angry and half amused, Bai Ziyan grabbed hold of it. "You useless thing, evolve now." Following the guidance of the Eye of Revelation, he summoned a grand formation upon the floor. One by one, he cast in rare treasures and exotic materials. The ingredients fused rapidly, and the white scale fish's form changed drastically. Its body expanded to dozens of meters, its potential rising to high monarch. But with its new size, the creature now crowded the entire room. With no other choice, Bai Ziyan recalled it into his beast space. Just then, he noticed another smaller letter tucked within his grandfather's message. It recorded intelligence about the long-sought Qingyuan Du. Without delay, Bai Ziyan set out with Xiao Guin, heading for Red Wing City. To learn more, he went straight into the city's black market. There, he overheard two men whispering. The upcoming auction would feature diamond tier materials, and the infamous crone from Blue Mist City, known for hoarding such items, would be attending as well. Just then, a voice came from behind by Zian. If you're not buying, don't touch it. Truly heaven's favor. Whatever Xiao Guin laid her hands on turned out to be diamond grade. Bai Zian casually rested his hand on her shoulder and told the shopkeeper, name your price. I'll take it. Thinking he was dealing with a spoiled young master, the shopkeeper immediately quoted 30 million. Bai Zian cursed on the surface, but inwardly he was ecstatic. After all, diamond grade materials started at 100 million. 30 million was a steal. As soon as the deal was done, an overwhelming pressure descended from above. It was by Jingchong himself, appearing to ensure Bai Zian obtained the Qingyuan due without trouble. Soon after, the Lord of Qixia City, Wen Feng, also arrived. The next day, Bai Jingchong brought Bai Zian to meet two key figures. Old Bai, what business do you have with me? Came a voice from behind. The speaker was Lan Dongli, Lord of Blue Mist City and Bai Jingchong's biggest rival for the Qingyuan due. At her side stood her granddaughter, Lan Jiqi. The moment Bai Zian laid eyes on Lan Jiqi, he was taken aback. According to the plan, Bai Jingchong produced another diamond grade material, offering to sell it to Lan Dongli for the same price as the Qingyuan due. But Bai Zian suddenly changed course. Grandfather, this girl looks ill and pitiful. Why don't we give her the radiant fruit instead? Bai Jingchong nearly choked. What was meant to be sold had suddenly turned into a gift. Lan Dongli was equally shocked. Diamond grade materials are priceless. Why would you give it away? Bai Zian smiled brightly. Didn't you say she needs it to recover? I like this little sister, so I want her to have it. At those words, Lan Jiqi's face turned crimson. Bai Jingchong knew his grandson well. He wasn't one to lose his head over beauty. There had to be a deeper reason. Without hesitation, he pressed the radiant fruit into Lan Dongli's hands. Lan Dongli stared at the box, her expression heavy with mixed emotions. As she prepared to leave, she said, Lord Bai, since I've accepted this gift, I will no longer compete with you. Just before departing, Lan Jiqi turned back, her cheeks flushed, and asked softly, Big brother, what is your name? Bai Zian beamed as he gave his name, adding an invitation for her to visit Whitescale City once she was well. Lan Jiqi turned back around, silently committing his name to memory. Of course, Bai Zian was no fool. Giving away a diamond-grade material was no loss. He had his own plans behind it. Lan Jiqi possessed not only an SS-rank superpower enhancement talent, but had also contracted an epic-tier spatial beast. If she survived long enough, she was destined to become a powerhouse of her era. Bai Zian reasoned silently that gifting her the radiant fruit for just 30 million was a favor that would pay dividends 100-fold. A few days later, the long-awaited auction finally began. The first item was a golden-grade beast egg, the Rock Eagle, with a starting bid of 1 million. Yet most attendees considered the Rock Eagle difficult to raise and uncontrollable, hardly worth the investment. No one placed a bid. In a VIP booth, Bai Zian's gaze lingered on the egg, his eyes fixed in thought. The auction hall fell into complete silence. Just as the auctioneer prepared to declare it unsold, Bai Zian's voice rang out. 1 million. Relief washed over the host as the bid was confirmed. What the crowd didn't know was that the egg's true potential was at early amethyst, worlds apart from the golden grade label. Its real market value was at least 50 billion. Bai Zian chuckled inwardly, thrilled at stumbling onto such a bargain. An hour later, the finale was revealed, the Qingyuan due. Free bidding began, with each raised no less than 1 million. The price quickly shot past 100 million. To Bai Zian, the Qingyuan due was vital for awakening his second talent. Failure was not an option. Before long, the bid soared to 500 million. A red-haired contender smirked smugly, believing this would secure his breakthrough to diamond rank. But then, from Bai Zian's booth, a cold voice thundered, 700 million! The red-haired man scowled, countering with 800 million, while unleashing the aura of a peak gold rank beast tamer. The very next moment, an even more terrifying pressure erupted from the VIP booth. Peak gold rank? And you think that's impressive? The suffocating aura swept through the hall, freezing the air itself. Even the seasoned auctioneer trembled under the weight of it. The once arrogant, red-haired man bowed his head instantly, offering apologies. And so, under Bai Jingchong's oppressive presence, the Bai family secured the Qingyuan due for 900 million. Suddenly, the lord of Qixia City, Old Ghost Qi, stormed into the hall, shouting in shock, "Old Bai, how did you stop that blue witch from competing?" When he learned it was all Bai Zian's idea, he slapped the table in admiration and declared that Bai Zian would duel his granddaughter. 3 days later, the gates of the Red Wing City Lord's mansion were kicked open. A girl strode in, head held high, shouting angrily, "Old man, I'm back." The girl's name was Qi Yani, granddaughter of the infamous Old Ghost Qi. She stomped her foot and shouted, "Old man, why did you call me back? If this isn't important, I'm ripping out your beard." The old ghost quickly tried to calm her. "Aren't you about to advance to bronze rank? Grandpa found you a chance to obtain a beast with diamond tier potential." Qi Yani's eyes widened. "What kind of chance?" Just then, Bai Jingchong entered with Bai Zian. Qi Yani's expression lit up as she rushed forward, extending her hand. "Hello, big brother. I'm Qi Yani." Bai Zian, a little dumbfounded, still shook her hand. Old Ghost Qi nearly exploded in anger, quickly pulling them apart. The terms were simple. If Bai Zian could defeat Qi Yani, he could choose any beast from their clan stables. Before a crowd of spectators, Bai Zian's Kunping entered its first real battle. Yet in its shrunken whale form, the white-scale fish looked comically round, drawing laughter from Qi Yani. Even Bai Zian hadn't expected his beast to look so silly when miniaturized. But the laughter ended abruptly as Qi Yani's scarlet-winged bird launched a flurry of razor-sharp feathers. The white-scale fish evaded with nimble movements, then struck back on Bai Zian's command. A blast of water cannons rained down, pinning the scarlet-winged bird with no room to escape. Bai Zian grinned and gave a thumbs up. But at that moment, a fire hawk swooped in from behind. Bai Zian's eyes widened. "Damn, I forgot she had a second beast." Luckily, the fire hawk was only unranked stage 9, and the white-scale fish tanked the blow. Qi Yani pressed the attack without pause, triggering her combo skill, Spirit of Fire Possession. Instantly, both beasts lunged forward together in a coordinated strike. Old Ghost Qi laughed triumphantly. "See, old Bai, your grandson is finished." Bai Jingchong initially scoffed, but as he watched his grandson stand motionless, taking the blow head-on, even he grew uneasy. To everyone's shock, Bai Zian suddenly raised a shimmering barrier, blocking the assault with ease. Gasps echoed through the hall. Such a shield was impossible for anyone below silver rank. None of them knew that Bai Zian's B-Space held a vast reservoir of spirit energy, letting him use silver rank techniques freely. The next instant, Bai Zian stopped holding back. The white-scale fish expanded to its full form, a colossal figure blotting out the sky, its presence like that of a divine beast. Old Ghost Qi's jaw dropped. "What the hell, old Bai? What kind of monster is your grandson?" Even Bai Jingchong broke into a cold sweat at the sight. The white-scale fish unleashed a massive torrent of water, blasting the fire hawk to pieces in an instant. Qi Yani refused to admit defeat, ordering her scarlet-winged bird to launch a blazing charge. But the difference in power was now undeniable. Water naturally countered fire, and the next water cannon surged forward like a tidal wave. Within moments, Qi Yani was engulfed, left unable to move. Bai Zian had won the duel without question. By the rules, he earned the right to enter the Qi family's secret realm and claim a beast of his choosing. To ensure he caused no trouble, Qi Yani was assigned to accompany him. The instant they stepped into the realm, the Eye of Revelation revealed its truth. Crimson Crow Valley was forged from the fragment of a dead star, refined by the Qi family's ancestor into a secret domain. Bai Zian couldn't help but marvel. Under Qi Yani's introduction, he learned of the Crimson Crows that inhabited the valley. Yet the next second, a swarm of them went wild, swarming toward him. Qi Yani shouted sharply, "Stand down." She pulled out a command token, whose aura instantly drove the crows back in terror. She explained that Bai Zian's water energy was like oil meeting fire in this place. He was lucky they hadn't all torn him apart. Bai Zian smirked and activated the Eye of Revelation, scanning for the beast with the greatest potential. But as the hourglass ran low, he realized that the strongest of the valley's beasts were merely diamond rank. Reluctantly, he prepared to settle for a diamond-grade crimson crow. Then, in the flock, his eyes caught sight of a crow with unusually distinct feathers. Closer inspection revealed it to be a mutated beast with an SS rank talent. Bai Zian instantly resolved to contract it as his second companion. Yet despite his attempts to entice it, the proud little bird flatly rejected him. With no other choice, Bai Zian decided to flaunt his wealth and ingenuity. As expected, when he dangled a few shining crystals, the stubborn crow resisted for only 2.5 seconds, before diving straight into his arms. Qiani was left utterly dumbfounded. Wait, you can tame a beast like that? Bai Zian realized that the Qi clan master was an expert in raising crimson crows. To avoid exposing his secret, he chose to contract the beast directly within the secret realm. Qiani panicked, thinking he had lost his mind. Contracting here could kill you. But before her words even finished, Bai Zian felt his water energy draining rapidly. The fire crow was greedily devouring his strength. Luckily, Qiani acted in time, channeling her fire energy to neutralize the crisis. After much struggle, Bai Zian finally succeeded in taming the fire crow. To his surprise, the moment it entered his beast space, the Eye of Revelation locked onto it, triggering an enhancement, awakening the talent body of fire. This ability not only copied enemy fire skills, but also vastly boosted his own fire techniques. Moments later, Bai Zian and Qiani walked out of the secret realm. When Bai Jingqiong learned that his grandson had risked his life to contract a beast inside, his expression turned grim. But the instant he saw the creature, he and old Ghost Qi were both stunned. Bai Jingqiong instantly understood the gamble. This beast is extraordinary, old Ghost Qi. You've taken a heavy loss this time. The old ghost's heart bled. No way, that's a mutated fire crow. In the Qi clan's centuries-long history, only 2 such beasts had ever been born. Now another had fallen into Bai Zian's hands, and regret was useless. Before leaving, Qiani threw down a challenge, vowing that one day she would surpass him. Bai Zian merely smiled faintly. "See you at the summit," he said, before riding his grandfather's jade-winged mount back to White Scale City. Soon, a white crane descended at the Bai clan mansion. Before parting, Bai Jingqiong reminded him to train diligently. Yet just as Bai Zian left his room, a lieutenant hurried to report to Bai Jingqiong. Moments later, a furious roar echoed from the hall. But for Bai Zian, strengthening himself was the only priority. To prevent accidents during training, he had Bai Ji and Bai Xiao guard the door. No sooner had he closed it than he overheard Bai Xiao gossiping. "Hey, the young master forbade Miss Xiao Guin from meeting other Bai clansmen. Isn't this straight out of a domineering CEO romance?" Bai Zian's face darkened. He chose not to explain. Arguing would only make it worse. Time would prove everything. For now, awakening his second beast talent was what mattered. Following the Eye of Revelation's guidance, he poured all the required potions into a tub. Then he added crushed awakening stones into the mixture. The liquid reacted violently at once. The Eye of Revelation confirmed. Awakening elixir discovered. Bai Zian stripped off his shirt, eyes blazing with anticipation. The potion was worth 100 billion yuan. Failure was not an option. Without hesitation, he leapt into the tub. Soon, a familiar awakening energy coursed through his body, just like during the original ceremony. Above his head appeared a new vision, 3 chains piercing the clouds. Unfortunately, a passing man happened to catch sight of it. Strange, could someone be awakening their own talent? He quickly shook his head. Impossible. Even if someone could, the energy wouldn't shake the heavens like this. Muttering, he sighed. Must be the drink. I'm seeing things again. By the next morning, Bai Bai Zian had fully absorbed the elixir's power. Bai Zian awakened his second beast talent, an SSS rank rule-type ability called Chains of Heaven. This power could break the barrier between living beings and share their very essence. With just a link, he could borrow another's strength. It was nothing short of godlike. At the thought, he couldn't help but laugh wildly. Still, Bai Zian decided to test it on someone first. His eyes quickly landed on Bai Xiao. Without her realizing, the Chains of Heaven activated. In the blink of an eye, phantom chains wrapped tightly around her body. Bai Xiao froze in confusion, clueless about what was happening. The chains then sank completely into her form. Bai Zian instantly felt power coursing through the link and into himself. He ordered Bai Xiao to raise all her defenses. Yet, even under full resistance, the Chains of Heaven remained intact. Noticing Bai Zian staring at her chest, Bai Xiao's face flushed bright red. She thought, could the young master have some strange hobbies? Following his command, she traveled alone to the city's western district. Bai Zian was stunned. The chain endured across more than 10 kilometers without fading. He called her back by phone, but Bai Xiao returned shyly protesting. Young master, your behavior today was very unusual. First you let me see you half naked, then you made me do strange movements and you kept staring at me. If you're under too much pressure, you can just say so. Bai Zian quickly cut her off, asking if she hadn't noticed anything strange on her body. Bai Xiao only looked at him with puzzled eyes. That was when Bai Zian realized the Chains of Heaven were visible only to him. From an experiment, Bai Zian concluded 3 traits of the Chains of Heaven. First, secrecy. No matter what he did, Bai Xiao remained unaware of the chain's existence. Second, compulsion. Once he activated them, the link forced itself onto her, allowing him to share her talent. Third, control. While sharing was normally mutual, he alone could sever the channel, turning it into one-sided plunder. Even more terrifying, he possessed 3 chains, meaning he could draw power from 3 batteries at once. Soon after, Bai Zian entered his beast space. To his surprise, it had expanded greatly after awakening his second talent. 2 new terrains had formed, an ocean and a volcano. Just then, he noticed his white-scale fish bullying the fire crow. Bai Zian flared with anger. Blue fatty, what are you doing? You're supposed to be comrades in arms. How can you fight each other? It turned out the fish was training as planned, but the fire crow disliked the environment and ended up beaten down. With the expanded space, Bai Zian relocated the fish to the vast new ocean. Its eyes lit up instantly, and it dove eagerly into the endless waters. In a flash, it revealed its massive Kunpeng form. After settling it, Bai Zian placed the fire crow on a blazing phoenix blood parasol tree atop the volcano. Once its nest was made, the crow lounged there contentedly. Bai Zian asked if it had been practicing its skills. The fire crow puffed itself up, declaring it would show him the might of the sun. Yet when the grand attack landed, it only chipped a small stone. Bai Zian produced a king-grade core, and the crow immediately lunged for it. He made a wager. If the crow could unleash its skill as he demonstrated, it would win the prize. He showed how to compress energy, releasing a water sphere powerful enough to shatter stone. To his surprise, the fire crow grasped it instantly. The compressed fire power detonated like a nuclear blast, obliterating a mountain and sending a mushroom cloud skyward. At that moment, Bai Zian recalled the duel he had promised Little Phoenix. With the match set for tomorrow, he decided Feng Xinyu would be the perfect test of his new strength. The next day, Bai Zian ordered the butler to prepare the car. He also brought Xiao Guin along to the academy. To his surprise, once she dressed up, she looked stunning. Her radiant smile made his heart skip a beat. Upon arrival, Yuan Patian warned him that many students from the satellite cities looked down on the Bai family heir. As soon as Bai Zian stepped into the classroom, the noisy chatter fell silent. Every gaze turned toward him. Students from the outlying cities glared with disdain, while the noble heirs of Whitescale City lit up with excitement. In the next moment, they swarmed around him. Bai Zian sighed inwardly. These brats wasted time forming cliques instead of training. He resolved to discuss suspending his studies with his grandfather. The comfort of school couldn't compare to the brutal lessons of the wild. Just then, a man in a black coat strode over. One of his lackeys whispered, "Boss Long, that's the main city's heir. Want to test him?" The man's face twisted in rage, as if Bai Ziyan had stolen his bride, and he stormed forward. Sensing the hostility, Bai Ziyan activated the Eye of Revelation. Long out SSS rank talent, dark contract. The name was bold, the talent impressive, but he hadn't bonded a beast yet. Before the clash could erupt, Xiao Guyin stepped between them. She glared and snapped, "Stop testing him, or don't blame me for being ruthless." Long Out Yin's face flushed crimson the moment he saw her. He meekly apologized to Bai Ziyan, leaving his lackeys dumbfounded. "What the hell, boss? You gave up just like that?" Suddenly, the doors banged open. "Bai Ziyan, do you still remember the promise you made me?" It was Feng Qinyu, the girl who had wagered with him, storming in with arrogant pride. Bai Ziyan smiled faintly. "Perfect timing. Let's give these brats a show. Maybe they'll stop wasting their energy on infighting." He agreed on the spot. "The school's arena. Fine with you?" Feng Qinyu's eyes gleamed. "I've trained 2.5 months for this day." The two quickly moved to the academy's battleground. To end things swiftly, Bai Ziyan gestured for her to start. Feng Qinyu obliged without hesitation, summoning her contracted beast, a red-beaked, violet-feathered wand, bearing the bloodline of the phoenix. Even from dozens of meters away, the heat radiating from it was suffocating. A creature from the origin world, capable of reaching amethyst rank. The Feng family clearly had secrets. Feng Qinyu smirked proudly. "Bai Ziyan, this beast must look unfamiliar. Want me to tell you its name?" Her voice dripped with provocation. Bai Ziyan replied calmly, "The Feng family did well to find you a red-beaked, violet-feathered wand. But do you really think that alone can beat me?" Feng Qinyu was stunned. "You saw through it in one glance?" "Impossible." She quickly regained her composure and shouted, "You're far too arrogant, Bai Ziyan." In the next instant, the wand soared forward, launching a fierce assault. Yet Bai Ziyan, tempered by months of training, merely shifted his body slightly to evade with ease, just as he had predicted all along. The crimson-beaked phoenix unleashed a massive fireball. In an instant, the flames swallowed Bai Ziyan whole. The audience gasped. "No way, it's over that fast." But a second later, Bai Ziyan stepped out of the fire, completely unharmed. Feng Qinyu's expression twisted. She shouted for her beast to use its ultimate move. Phoenix Cry, shaking the heavens. Crimson light surged over the phoenix's body, and with a piercing cry, a tidal wave of sound rolled out, rattling the arena. Even Bai Ziyan had to raise a brow. Didn't think the little phoenix could scream that hard. If I hadn't popped its shield, I might have been the one eating dirt today. Before he could fully recover, Feng Qinyu pressed the attack, sending her phoenix diving again. This time, Bai Ziyan dropped the playful smirk. He summoned the white-scaled Leviathan from his beast space. The colossal creature's presence alone shook the field. The phoenix instantly panicked, feathers flaring. With nothing more than a lazy flick of its tail, the phoenix was swatted down like a fly, crashing into the ground. That single strike ended the battle. Faced with the Leviathan's overwhelming size, Feng Qinyu had no choice but to admit defeat. Bai Ziyan strolled over, grinning. "Feng Qinyu, aren't you forgetting something?" Her body trembled as she remembered their wager. "I lost," she muttered. "Say it. What do you want me to do?" Bai Ziyan leaned close and whispered in her ear. Whatever he said left her face burning red. "Bai Ziyan, you bastard. Just you wait." Bai Ziyan left the field in high spirits, clearly pleased with himself. But before he could walk far, the ground began to quake violently. At first, he thought it was just a normal earthquake. Then, without warning, steel beams came crashing down from the sky. At the same time, countless strange aircraft suddenly appeared over White-Scale City. To uncover the truth, Bai Ziyan activated the Eye of Revelation to probe the source of the quake. To his shock, the earthquake wasn't natural. It was caused by two worlds drawing closer and beginning to fuse. As the ground shook, Panicked citizens fled in every direction. But Byzantine couldn't hide his excitement. Once the tremors passed, the myriad spider nest's secret realm would merge with the new world, evolving into a higher-level dimension, an opportunity far too great to ignore. Yet fate played its hand. At that very moment, the spider cult launched a full-scale assault on Whitescale City. The next second, bombs rained down from the sky. The Eye of Revelation flashed warning after warning. Bai Zian instantly realized something was wrong. He ordered Bai Ji and Bai Xiao to raise the protective barrier at once. Thanks to their quick reaction, they narrowly escaped the blast. But after inspection, their Rolls-Royce was nothing but wreckage. Left with no choice, they set out on foot. Just then, a thunderous explosion drew Bai Zian's attention. He turned toward the sound and froze. The cult's real target wasn't the city at all. It was the Awakening Hall. Inside the command hall, City Lord Bai Jingchong erupted in fury when he heard the news. Without hesitation, he mobilized the city's top fighters to reinforce the hall. Meanwhile, outside, spider cult bombers leveled the defensive perimeter in waves of fire. Rescue drones rushed in to counterattack. But the next instant, several unknown objects plummeted from the skies. As the smoke cleared, monstrous shadow-face spiders emerged, murder incarnate. The soldiers on guard trembled with fear. Inside the Awakening Hall, Wu Xinghan rallied the last of his men to form a desperate final defense. The gate shook violently under impact. Seconds later, several shadow-face spiders smashed their way inside. A soldier barely had time to scream before being torn apart. Wu Xinghan had no choice but to unleash his full strength, summoning his battle beast, the Xieji. He ordered the men to form a shield wall. Then he triggered his skill, Crystal Aegis. In an instant, countless crystals spread, reinforcing the barrier. His plan was simple: hold the core of the Awakening Hall at all costs. But to his horror, the Crystal Aegis lasted less than 2.5 minutes under the relentless assault. Wu Xinghan's heart sank. This was bad. The shadow-faced spiders moved too fast. Conventional firearms couldn't so much as scratch them. Even so, he seized a fleeting chance. The moment they left the ground, he slammed his weapon into the floor. In a flash, crystal spears erupted upward, skewering several of the beasts. But the nightmare had only just begun. The abdomen of one fallen spider split open, and from it crawled a voluptuous woman. To the defender's horror, 2 more women emerged from the corpses of other spiders. A special-grade explosive struck without warning. The blast tore through the hall, leaving bodies everywhere. Wu Xinghan survived only thanks to the protection of the Xieji. But the spider witches pressed forward without pause. With a flurry of blades, they carved through the battlefield, turning the tide in moments. Wu Xinghan knew well, these witches were no ordinary foes. Even armored soldiers could not withstand them for a single exchange. He ordered the men to retreat with the wounded. Then he sighed, "Looks like it's just you and me, old friend." With that, he commanded the Xieji to unleash its ultimate move, Crystal Prison. In an instant, walls of crystal surged up, sealing off the entire battlefield. The 3 spider witches were trapped within, locked inside with Wu Xinghan. With a thunderous crash, the crystal stone domain sealed shut completely. The red-haired witch sneered, her tone dripping with mockery. "Old man, you're just a wage slave. A few hundred coins of pay worth dying for." Wu Xinghan smirked despite his exhaustion. "You're right. 100 wouldn't be worth it. But I'm on 2,000. That's plenty of reason to fight." The witch's face darkened, and she snapped her fingers. Her 2 underlings lunged forward. 2 against 1. The saying goes, a pair of fists can't beat 4 hands. Wu Xinghan and his beast Qilin each locked one down. But the red-haired witch seized the opening for herself. The moment her lackeys pulled free, she raised her weapon and squeezed the trigger. The arrow streaked toward Wu Xinghan. By the time he registered it, it was far too late. His heart clenched, so this was the end. But in that instant, his life-bonded beast erupted in fury. The mighty Qilin threw itself forward, taking the deadly strike in his stead. Then it countered in the same breath, crushing one of the witches in a surprise strike. Fueled by desperation, Wu Xinghan unleashed the last of his strength, pressing the attack in perfect sync with his beast. But he was running on fumes. His body screamed with exhaustion, every skill draining what little he had left. Even with Qilin's aid, the tide turned against him. The enemy pressed harder, hurling explosive darts without restraint. Wu Xinghan barely had time to blink before he and Qilin were swallowed by a sea of fire. As the smoke cleared, he stood bloodied and broken, but still alive, still forcing the crystal barrier to hold. He spat blood and laughed hoarsely. "Kill me if you dare. Slay a deacon of the Awakening Hall, and the hall will hunt you to the ends of the earth." The red-haired witch scoffed. "Spare me the bluff, old man. Your crystal stone domain might be tough, but everything has a limit." Her eyes glinted coldly. "That's why we brought the shadow face arachnids, to smash through it." She tilted her head, smiling wickedly. "Listen closely, they've already begun." Outside, the spiders slammed against the barrier in relentless waves. Moments later, the crystal stone domain shattered into pieces. Just as despair closed in on Wu Xinghan, fate twisted once more. A colossal beast wreathed in lightning thundered into the chamber, shaking the earth with its arrival. Reinforcements had come at last, by Jingchong himself, leading the city's elite fighters. With the crushing might of 3 diamond-tier beasts, the battle flipped in an instant. The red-haired witch cursed under her breath and snapped into Plan B. A thick haze of smoke filled the hall, plunging everything into chaos. Bai Jingchong's eyes narrowed. He knew the truth. The core of the Awakening Hall was the heart of White-Scale City. If it fell, the city would collapse with it. To protect the hall's core, Bai Jingchong made a snap decision and charged after the intruders. But the spider cult had prepared for this moment, sending Deathsworn to seize control of the Shadow Face arachnids. The beasts immediately entangled the Fire Qilin and the Thunder Titan, locking them down. Even so, Bai Jingchong fought on, holding back the remaining enemies with sheer force of will. Just as he was about to finish them off, a Deathsworn raised his gun and fired from behind. The bullet, infused with a sinister power, tore through the air faster than he could react. At the critical moment, Yin Iha stepped in front of him, taking the shot. The instant that eerie power pierced his body, death swallowed him whole. Within seconds, Yin Iha's form disintegrated into nothingness. Bai Jingchong had no time to grieve. The creeping death energy surged into his own right arm. The spider cult leader slammed a hand down on a detonator. A deafening blast followed. The awakening core of White-Scale City was destroyed. From that moment on, the city lost its ability to awaken beastmasters. Without natural awakening, the path was nearly cut off forever. The attack claimed tens of thousands of lives. With the protective barrier shattered, a beast tide swept in, cutting down countless soldiers. In the hospitals, waves of wounded were carried in. My chest tightened as I watched. In their faces, I saw my past life's reflection. On the way to my grandfather's ward, Bai Ji and Bai Xiao walked in silence. Their wordless grief only deepened my unease. When I finally entered, I froze. Grandfather lay pale and frail, one arm gone. Fear and sorrow gnawed at me, but he waved it off, insisting there were things more important than his missing limb. For the first time, I saw the diamond rank powerhouse looking truly uneasy. His concern wasn't his injury, it was the earthquake. I quickly reassured him, sharing what my heightened intuition had revealed. The 10,000 spider nest won't be destroyed. It will merge with another realm. Hearing that, Bai Jingchong finally exhaled, relief softening his weary face. His grandfather then revealed a shocking truth. He was not originally from the Spider Nest realm, but from the White Clan on the Origin Star. Back on the Origin Star, he had once been a candidate for the clan's patriarch. But in his youth, pride and arrogance led him to a grave mistake, and he was cast out, banished to the Spider Nest. The clan, however, gave him one last chance: slay the Amethyst Spider Queen, and he could return. Yet in his impatience, he underestimated the monster's power. His crimson-eyed goldfin fish was crushed, its core damaged beyond repair, and it could never evolve again. Now, with his crowned, cloud-winged crane slain as well, He had no hope of ever reaching the amethyst rank. Seeing his grandfather's spirit dim, Byzantine rushed to comfort him, insisting there would still be chances ahead. But his grandfather suddenly gripped his shoulder, passing on his last hope. From this day, you are the future of our clan. To become the strongest beast master, you must enter the secret realm selection 1 year from now. Claim a top 10 spot and return to the origin star. With that, he handed Byzantine the key to the clan treasury. Our family's wealth is enough to raise you to the diamond rank. Yet he didn't forget to warn him, don't repeat my mistakes. Remember, the most important thing in this world is the bonds you forge with others. Those words struck deep. Byzantine recalled his captain in a past life, who had told him the exact same thing before he died. At that moment, Byzantine's heart steadied. He accepted the weight of this responsibility without hesitation. To grow stronger quickly, he chose not to wait for his parents' return. He set out on his journey, leaving the spirit beast egg with his sister Byzantine to deliver to their grandfather. As he reminded his little sister to behave while he was away, a familiar voice suddenly called out, "Young Master Xian." He turned and saw Xiao Gubai standing there with a travel pack and a bright smile. Byzantine couldn't help but smile back. "So, ready to join me on this adventure? Wherever you go, I go. Aren't you scared with young Master Xian around? I'm not. Could you stop calling me young master?" "Sure, young Master Xian." With that exchange, Byzantine and Xiao Gubai made their way to the city gates. The plan was simple: grow stronger and pick up materials for future upgrades. He summoned the Eye of Revelation, asking how to regrow his grandfather's arm and heal the wounded scarlet-eyed golden fish. The answer came fast: Fate's Water and Spirit Nurturing Spring, both violet gold tier. He searched the records at once. The results blindsided him. Fate's Water had over 50,000 hits. Spirit Nurturing Spring had none. Dead end, for now at least. He then asked how to fix the Awakening Hall's ruined core. The reply: it was forged on the Origin Star, unrepairable for the time being. After the battle, his grandfather's faith had clearly wavered. Leaving a purple Thunder Eagle egg and an amethyst tier evolution route was just to keep hope burning. The true salvation of Whitescale City still lay on the Origin Star. But with the spring's trail cold, he had no clear path forward. Just then, his body refused to move. He froze, so the eye could do that too. A spectral hand unfolded from the eye, popped open the map, and pointed to a precise location. Noticing his look, Xiao Gubai asked, "Xian, did you find something?" He kept it light. "East gate's closest. We'll head out there." She tensed. "Across the wastes? I have a bad feeling about this." He chuckled. "We're beast tamers. Worst case, we hop on a merc caravan and call it carpooling." With that, he led her toward the eastern gate. What they found left him speechless. Endless lines of people and wagons packed the road. He had to admit, her premonition was spot on. A tank suddenly roared up from behind. Byzantine's eyes widened. He yanked Xiao Gubai into his arms before she could react. Time seemed to stop. Fingers interlocked, both faces flushed. They sprang apart at once. You okay?" he asked. Regaining her composure, she frowned. "The beast tide just ended. Why is everyone leaving?" He gave a wry smile. "Rich folks think the city's doomed. They can't survive a day out there, so they're paying merc bands to babysit them. A rich client can hire an entire squad, which means there'll be plenty of hired hands," he explained. Meanwhile, guards at the checkpoint kept repeating, "All outbound personnel, disarm and present identification for inspection." During the check, Byzantine mulled over his father's intent. Disaster had just struck, yet the city remained open, perhaps to project an image of order and control. Once his and Xiao Gubai's identities were cleared, they were waved through the gate. Following instructions, both put on protective masks. Moments later, they stepped into a stretch of barren desert beyond the walls. Staring at the scar battle line, he murmured, "Looks like this front buried more beasts than we can count." He raised his scope, scanning for a mercenary outpost. Soon, he found what he was looking for. "There, the merc outpost. Let's move," he said, energized. They arrived within minutes. On the street leading in, two women in fishnets gave him a lingering look, which, despite himself, left him slightly flushed. Not the kind of ambush he trained for. They stopped at the largest tent on site. The banner read Red Monkey Mercenary Corps, exactly the place they needed. Inside, a man in sunglasses clocked them. "Old Duan, you've got the eye. How's the quality on the pair at the door?" The muscle-bound Old Duan nodded. "Looks premium to me." The two sauntered over. Well, lost your way, kiddos." As they spoke, someone nicknamed Mad Wolf cut off their escape route. "Xiao," Gubai whispered. "Zian, they don't look friendly." Bai Zian stifled a sigh. Ever since Xiao Gubai joined the Bai household, it's like she'd flipped a switch. Trouble kept orbiting her. His eyes cooled. Anyone coveting what's his was basically lighting a lantern in the latrine, asking for death. The tattooed bruiser closed in with a swagger. Then the muscle man suddenly hooked an arm around Bai Zian's neck, grinning. "Danger out there, kid. Let Uncle keep you safe." Plot twist, the target was him. Xiao Gubai's eyes went wide. The brute even chuckled, telling him not to get mad. Bai Zian's face hardened. In one smooth motion, he flipped the man clean over his shoulder and slammed him down. A sharp crack followed, call it the Pythagorean armbar. Pain twisted the man's face. He yelped for Mad Wolf to help. Bai Zian shot Mad Wolf a look cold enough to freeze mercury. "Go ahead, try. That killing intent." Mad Wolf froze where he stood. Just then, sirens blared from the loudspeakers overhead. At the same time, the vice captain, Qi Ming, emerged from a back room, buckling his belt. The snake behind him asked with a smug grin, "What's going on, boss?" Qi Ming snorted. "What do you think? Beast incursion." Zijing hurriedly threw on his clothes and grabbed the thermal scanner. The reading lit up. 200 to 300 beasts were closing in. Hearing this, Old Duan put on his most flattering smile. "Brother, looks like we're grasshoppers on the same rope now. You don't really want us still quarreling when the beasts break through, do you?" Bai Zian shoved him aside and snapped, "Stay out of my way." Meanwhile, Qi Ming climbed onto the wall, unleashing the aura of a silver rank beast master. "Don't panic," he barked. "It's too late to run back to the city. Fight together. Hold out until reinforcements arrive. That's our only chance." Bai Zian nodded. At least someone here wasn't a complete idiot. Qi Ming introduced himself. "I'm a silver rank from the Red Monkey Mercs. I'll handle the front. But we still need one beast master guarding against flanks. Who volunteers?" The so-called beast masters in the crowd all stepped back in unison. Bai Zian sighed. Looked like it would have to be him. Just as he raised his hand, someone else beat him to it. The man was dressed in lavish silks. Definitely a spoiled rich kid. Bai Zian blinked. "Really? Even this could get hijacked?" Qi Ming eyed the newcomer suspiciously. "TSK, a young master, huh? Can you even fight? Or should my men test you first?" Still unconvinced, he ordered Old Duan, Mad Wolf, and others to grab heavy weapons and reinforce the line. Bai Zian, unimpressed, whispered to Xiao Gubai, "Stay behind me. Keep yourself safe." She obediently nodded. Elsewhere, in an empty container yard, civilians were summoning their beasts one after another. Those with strength rolled up their sleeves, while the powerless did their best hauling steel beams. One eccentric even pulled out a Bible, praying at the top of his lungs. Moments later, Old Duan sidled back up to Bai Zian. "Kid, you're a beast master too, right? The way you carry yourself, I'd say you're way stronger than that rich brat." Bai Zian grinned. "Friend looks terrified." Bai Zian turned, and sure enough, Xiao Gubai was trembling head to toe. He hurried over. "Xiao Gubai, you okay?" His sudden pat nearly made her jump out of her skin. She forced a shaky smile. "I'm fine, just nervous." Bai Zian rested a hand on her shoulder. "When the beasts charge, just stick close to me. You'll be fine." Soon, a massive wave of beasts came crashing forward. Hearing the roar, Old Duan hefted up his heavy machine gun. The moment the creatures stepped into the minefield, a chain of explosions tore through the front lines, blasting them to pieces. But the horde quickly pushed past the mines and surged toward the outpost. As soon as they entered firing range, Mad Wolf pulled the trigger without hesitation, blowing a beast's head clean off. He reloaded in one swift motion and dropped another monster in the next instant. On the walls, the auto-gatlings rained bullets nonstop, yet still failed to kill all the stragglers. "Damn perv, don't just stare. Clean it up." Zijing barked from the gunnery station. Old Duan stepped into cover, sneering, "Told you already. Your toy caliber's for show. Heavy rounds are king." He fired, a jet of flame roaring out, shredding the beast that had slipped through. But now more monsters piled against the wall, claws digging in as they began to climb. Xian's eyes narrowed. Bronze rank beasts. "They're coming up." The rich kid smirked, eyes gleaming. "Finally, my turn to shine." Xian rolled his eyes. Old Duan cut in, "Not yet," and ordered the crew to dump the fuel barrels. At once, men rolled the drums off the battlements. They crashed to the ground below, and Mad Wolf, ready and waiting, pulled the trigger. Sparks ignited on impact, and in seconds, a blazing inferno swallowed the beasts, burning them to ash. Xian gave a grudging nod. "Guess these mercs aren't all talk after all." Old Duan puffed up. "Of course not. The red monkey mercs rank with the best in the wastelands." The wall of fire held the monsters back, forcing them to prowl below in frustration. But before long, a massive figure lumbered out from the horde. One look told Xian this one was different. He instantly opened the Eye of Revelation. The answer chilled him. It was a silver rank alchemic beast, with a single thunderous roar. The walls of fire were shattered by its sonic shockwave, and as the smoke cleared, several more silver rank beasts emerged from the shadows. Through the scope of his sniper rifle, Mad Wolf scanned the battlefield. He quickly reported to Old Duan, 7 or 8 silver rank beasts heading our way." Old Duan's face darkened, shock flashing across his eyes. He spun around and barked, "Hey, rich boy, whether we hold the line or not is up to you now." The young noble only smirked, pushing up his glasses with practiced confidence. "Leave it to me." With a flourish, he summoned a beast from his contract space. The mid-silver gold-horned toad. Elsewhere, Chiming commanded his crimson flame ape, cutting down enemies in droves. Every punch from the ape crushed another monster into the dirt. But as the silver-rank beasts appeared, the rest of the horde grew stronger, their killing power spiking. Chiming made a quick call. "Time for that move." "Do it." The crimson flame ape roared and unleashed its skill, Scarlet Lotus explosive fists, a storm of blazing strikes. In a blink, the silver beast before was reduced to ash. Just then, his earpiece crackled. "Vice Captain, the military is en route. ETA 8 minutes. Chiming raised his fist, rallying the mercs. "Hold on, brothers. Reinforcements are almost here." But before the cheer could spread, a red flash cut through the air. A mercenary's head rolled to the ground. The man beside him turned trembling, only to glimpse a shadow of pure terror. His scream was cut short as death swallowed him whole. Meanwhile, more beasts clambered up the walls, and Xian found himself struggling. In the next second, 3 silver-rank monsters closed in around him. Just as things turned grim, 2 spider silk threads lashed out, breaking the encirclement. Xian seized the moment and finished off the last beast in a swift strike. Turning, he stared at Xiao Guyu in surprise. "Your spider, did it just reach bronze rank?" She flushed a little, answering softly, I bought some materials from the black market. That pushed it through." Xian sighed with a wry smile. Truly heaven's favorite girl. But more beasts poured in, and the defensive fire began to falter. At last, it was the rich boy's turn to shine. He wasted no time. "Goldhorn, tongue lash now," he commanded. The toad's massive tongue whipped forward, knocking an entire row of monsters clean off the wall. Seeing everyone pull their weight, Xian decided it was time to stop slacking. He opened his beast space, summoning the fire crow. But before he could even issue a command, the fiery bird launched its own attack. His temper flared instantly. The crow scoffed with pride. "I am the incarnation of the sun itself. Why would I need your orders?" Xian responded by flicking its head with a sharp knuckle strike. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, Chiming and his crimson flame ape took cover behind a container, facing an unknown gold rank monster. He knew full well the creature's speed was overwhelming. A head-on clash would be suicide. Survival meant stalling. Yet to his disbelief, One reckless thug lost patience, grabbing an AK and charging in guns blazing. The burst of bullets hadn't even finished before his head hit the ground. The humanoid beast immediately turned and advanced toward them. Chiming barked for Mad Wolf to assist. Without hesitation, the sniper leveled his rifle and took aim. The trigger was pulled, and a single shot tore into the target. Chiming seized the chance, sending the Crimson Flame ape charging in for a counterattack. He'd still underestimated its speed. The monster slipped the pursuit in a blur. The next blast rocked the yard, and Xian dispatched the Fire Crow to assist. Qi Ming threw up a shield. The beast tore it apart a moment later. The Fire Crow arrived just in time, dragging Qi Ming out of the kill zone. A narrow escape, but if they couldn't put it down, they were all dead. Zijing's alchemic round. Now, he ordered. Mad Wolf chambered the silver bullet, praying it wouldn't wreck his beloved rifle. The muzzle split with a bang, but the round slammed into the target. Relief rippled and died as the monster strode out of the smoke unscathed. 392. Mad Wolf tracked through the scope. The target vanished. Oh sure, it blinked into existence right before him. A blast, and a severed arm dangled from the creature's hand. Xian's pupils tightened. That speed, pure gold rank. The beast blinked again, reappearing behind him. He snapped a shield into place, barely catching the strike. The barrier shattered. At the last instant, Xiao Gubai yanked him clear with a line of webbing. He crashed into her, stunned for half a beat. Thanks, no, sorry, he muttered, flushing. It's fine, she answered just as red. She refocused, ordering her lava spider to fire. The stinger plunged into the ground. Jets of magma erupted upward, and still the beast slipped through with vicious speed. Xian's eyes widened in shock. The beast was ridiculously fast, yet couldn't dodge bullets. Only spiritual energy attacks. That could only mean one thing. It wasn't seeing with eyes at all, but sensing the ripples of spirit energy. The answer clicked instantly in his mind. He had a way, but it needed help from the mercenaries. Just as he opened his mouth, Qi Ming and old Duan bolted like rabbits. Bian Zian sighed, exasperated. Looks like it's just you and me, Xiao Gubai. That's when Rich Kid swaggered forward. Don't forget there's still me, the great silver-ranked Beastmaster. To Xian's surprise, the most reliable one right now turned out to be him. In the next moment, the gold-horned toad, it was practical. Rich Kid puffed his chest. Watch closely. Time to witness true power. He unleashed Marsh Impact. A second later, the beast cut him clean in half. Instead of panic, Xian's eyes sharpened. As I thought, it only reacts to spirit energy. He turned to Xiao Gubai. Our plan might actually work. Xiao hesitated. I don't think I can do it. He grasped her trembling hand firmly. You can. I believe in you, so believe in yourself. He ordered the Fire Crow to lie in ambush, then deliberately released every ounce of his water element energy. Just as expected, the monster darted in from behind. Its movements were lightning fast, but every strike carried a subtle hesitation. All Xian had to do was flood the space with his own energy and keep its attention locked on him. At that moment, the beast's vision was filled with nothing but blazing light. Seizing its brief hesitation, Xian ordered the Fire Crow to strike back. A blazing ray of fire shot forth, slamming into the target. He immediately commanded the Fire Crow to lock down its movements. The creature answered with a swirling vortex of flames. In an instant, the beast was trapped within a raging inferno. Following the plan, Xiao Gubai had her lava spider cast its web. Countless cargo containers came crashing down, pinning the beast beneath their weight. Seeing the moment, Xian gave the order for the Fire Crow's final strike. A thunderous roar filled the air. A nuclear beam burst out in a blinding flash. The instant it struck the containers, the blast erupted like a miniature atomic bomb. Even the soldiers on White Scale City's walls, watching through binoculars, couldn't help but curse in awe. Holy hell, that's insane. At the same moment, the explosion detonated. Xian pulled Xiao Gubai into his beast space for cover. Once the shock wave subsided, the two returned to the battlefield. Yet to his shock, even that terrifying strike hadn't finished the monster off. As the beast slowly clawed its way out of the ground, Byzantine snapped his fingers. In the next instant, the white-scaled Leviathan erupted from the beast's space and swallowed it whole. But immediately, the Leviathan convulsed, overwhelmed by backlash. Crimson light wrapped tightly around its body. The backlash spread in an instant, this time latching onto Byzantine himself. A corrosive force gnawed at his very core. Gritting his teeth, he recalled the Leviathan back into the beast space to recover. Just then, old Duan shoved open the iron doors of the underground base, peering out nervously. Think it's over? Qi Ming stepped out right after him. Check if anyone survived. Old Duan held up a mangled frog leg, the last trace of the rich kid's beast, clicking his tongue. After an explosion like that, no way anyone's still breathing. But in the next moment, Xiao Gubai emerged, supporting Byzantine as he staggered forward. Seeing him alive left Qi Ming visibly stunned. Yet Byzantine's gaze began to blur. The next moment, Byzantine shut his eyes and collapsed back into unconsciousness. No one knew how much time passed before he stirred at the sound of voices calling his name. Xian. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was a bloodshot eyeball staring at him. The shock jolted him fully awake, sweat trickling down his back. Seeing him conscious, Xiao Gubai immediately called for a doctor. The assassin's serpent examined him and said there was no major problem. It was simply exhaustion from overusing his spirit power. At that moment, old Duan walked in. You're awake? The boss wants a word with you. Qi Ming was sitting before the fire. As Byzantine approached, Qi Ming looked at him with genuine respect. Honestly, kid, I didn't expect you to be this capable. Byzantine's expression darkened. So that's your excuse for leaving us behind and running first. Qi Ming, clearly guilty, apologized right away. Then he cut straight to the point. He wanted Byzantine to join their squad. Byzantine sneered. You ditched us once, you'll do it again. And you think a few words are enough for me to trust you? Qi Ming quickly explained. Our strength isn't what it used to be. This job is to escort a client to Jialing Town, but we're short on people. Hearing Jialing Town, Byzantine thought to himself, that's the path to Giantwood City. It could work to travel with them. Spotting his hesitation, Qi Ming added, we'll give you 30% of the pay. Byzantine smirked. Deal. Qi Ming grinned smugly, thinking money was the bait. He had no idea Byzantine had his own goals. Soon, they reached the Scarlet Adventure Group's outpost in Jialing Town. But under Xiao Gubai's cursed bad luck aura, the trip was a nightmare. Engines broke down, got fixed, then broke again, driving old Duan crazy. Qi Ming decided they'd rest for the night before entering the banana forest toward Jialong Town. Byzantine frowned. Why not just head to the town directly? Because this forest at night is deadly. Even gold-ranked beast masters might not make it out alive. The employer snapped. What do you mean not there yet? This whole trip's been a disaster. Useless trash. The assassin serpent shot her a glare. Shut up if you want to live. You're about to draw the beasts on us. The woman's face twisted with rage. Do you know who I am? My brother is the mayor of Jialing Town, a gold-ranked master. Once we get to Jialong Town, you're finished. I didn't pay to be treated like this. Byzantine shook his head quietly. Picking a fight with your own guards in the wild? Utterly foolish. Moments later, he followed Qi Ming into a wooden hut. The place was crude, and something about it made him uneasy. Staring at the pot of soup, he realized the problem. The next second, Xiao Gubai murmured weakly, Xian, my head feels dizzy. Soon after, members of the Red 8 mercenary group quietly pulled back the curtain. Seeing all four collapsed, old Duan chuckled. Not bad. This knockout drug works like a charm. Just as the timing was right, Qi Ming and his crew entered with gas masks strapped on. As Byzantine expected, their invitation had never been sincere. But the Eye of Revelation had already picked up the knockout gas. Wanting to expose their game, Byzantine played along and pulled off his mask. Qi Ming, the leader, clearly knew Byzantine's family background. With White Scale City in chaos, he was plotting a big score. Just as they realized someone was missing, a priest stepped out from the corner where he'd been hiding. Seeing their plan exposed, old Duan dropped the act whipping out a grenade launcher and aiming it at the priest. Yet the priest didn't resist. Instead, he calmly raised his hands and said he had something to discuss. When the group noticed the tattoo on his arm, the truth hit them. This priest was from the spider cult. Pretending to be asleep nearby, Byzantine's eyes widened at the revelation. What he thought was just a simple ransom job had now been hijacked by the spider cult. For now, all he could do was wait and see. The so-called priest was actually a spider cult operative named Alpha, tasked with recruiting talent, and someone Hologram's Alpha had set up in advance. But Qi Ming's crew didn't know that, and the room fell into a tense standoff. The silence shattered with a sudden gunshot. Qi Ming froze, not sure who fired. Then a familiar voice crackled through the earpiece. It was Mad Wolf. He wasn't dead after all. At the same time, old Duan spotted the holographic projector hidden in the corner. With his trick exposed, Alpha still tried to bluff, warning that the spider cult's high priest was on his way and that anyone who dared touch him would die without a grave. For a man already at death's door, his mouth was still running, earning him a well-deserved beatdown. Meanwhile, on the far side of Jiaolin town, a squad of cultists was racing toward their location. A sudden noise made everyone tense up. Everyone but Alpha, whose twisted grin widened as he laughed maniacally. And then it happened. The so-called high priest burst into the room, riding atop a monstrous Cairo beast. The beast radiated the power of a peak gold rank, while the priest himself exuded an aura that nearly rivaled diamond level. Ignoring everyone else in the room, he strode straight toward Byzantiine and Xiao Gubai. Qi Ming's crew tried to intervene, only to realize their bodies wouldn't respond. With a quick sidelong glance, Byzantiine sized things up. The high priest drew a vial from his staff. Spider venom ascension fluid, refined from phantom orb marrow and other reagents, enslaves the target while force-boosting their realm. He'd expected recruitment, not something this extreme. The needle was already inches away. With a sharp crack, Byzantiine shattered the shackles at his wrists. He snapped a hand up, clamping the cultist's wrist mid-stab. Spirit power detonated from his core, surging into the attacker. The blast barely phased the cultist. Xiao Gubai was still unconscious. Byzantiine flooded the room with mist-like aura, cutting off their line of sight. When the haze thinned, an entire wall had been blasted apart. Unfazed, the cultists sicked two underlings to give chase. Byzantiine scooped Xiao Gubai up and sprinted for the forest's edge. He activated the Eye of Revelation to sweep the area. A silver-ranked hunting banana tree blocked the path. Trapped between wolves in front and tigers behind, the situation grew perilous. To ensure both his and Xiao Gubai's safety, Byzantiine had no choice but to rely once again on his beast space. After all, it was this very method that allowed him to survive the nuclear blast earlier. Once Xiao Gubai was secured, he quickly assessed the situation. The spider cult had 4 members, and with night falling, the jungle was crawling with beasts. Fortunately, he could rely on the Eye of Apocalypse to effectively avoid those beasts. This was where his advantage lay. Meanwhile, on the cultist side, the priest, writhing in agony from his severed arm, wailed for the high priest to save him. But to someone who had ruined everything, the high priest only sneered and gifted him a one-way ticket to the western heaven. The mercenaries shivered as they watched the priest's life being drained away. If even his own men weren't spared, did that mean today would be their last day alive? On the other side of the battlefield, Byzantiine was being hunted down by the cultists. Yet instead of fear, a cunning smile crept across his face. Reaching the designated spot, he immediately raised his shield, leaving the enemies no chance to break through. In the next moment, vines lashed out from behind, binding the cultists in a perfect Asian rope tie. The sudden attack caught them completely off guard. They quickly realized it was the work of a wood-type spirit beast. But the hunting banana tree offered no room for resistance, wrapping both men and beasts tightly in its vines. This creature only attacked intruders who stepped into its territory. Their Kailuo beast was far too large. As long as Byzantiine held his ground at the border, the tree would mark them as invaders. And once marked as intruders, the hunting banana tree would show its affection in the cruelest way imaginable. As expected, two cultists were drained of their very essence, reduced to nothing but skeletal remains. Just as Byzantine was about to leave, something caught his eye, the fruit growing within the tree demon's belly. The banana fruit, a silver-ranked material brimming with life energy, capable of healing any wound. It was exactly the ingredient his grandfather needed to restore his arm. Without hesitation, Byzantine unleashed a slash of spiritual power straight at the banana fruit. The moment he caught it, a rich fragrance rushed into his nose. For a moment, he even forgot he was still inside the hunting banana tree's territory. Fortunately, the tree was too focused on absorbing spiritual energy to notice him. With the treasure in hand, he prepared to escape. But suddenly, a toad popped up beneath his feet. As expected, accidents never fail to arrive. He was tripped flat on his back by the slippery frog. First the cringe, costumed Superman, and now a meddling frog. Byzantine couldn't help but wonder if he was cursed to clash with amphibians. Before he could think further, a chill crept sharply down his spine. Meanwhile, the spider cult priest, listening through his earpiece, had guessed his followers were dead. Yet instead of moving himself, he turned his gaze on the mercenary group behind him. With a low incantation, spiritual power gathered in his left palm, and several small explosive spiders slowly crawled out. Qi Ming and the others thought they were about to die on the spot. But to their horror, the spiders crept one by one onto their necks. The priest gave a chilling warning. From this moment on, you'll obey me. Otherwise, the spiders on your necks will blow your heads clean off. At the same time, Byzantine was still being hunted furiously by the hunting banana tree. Its massive hand was about to slam down. He leapt into the air. Using the impact of the strike, his body was flung away. By sheer coincidence, that palm strike knocked him right out of the tree's territory. Shaken but amazed, Byzantine couldn't help but marvel at how terrifying a plant-type spirit beast could be. Just then, his sharp sixth sense alerted him. Someone was chasing after him. Sure enough, the pursuers were the mercenaries under the priest's control. Worse still, the spider cult priest himself had come along this time. Byzantine couldn't help but wonder why the mercenaries were helping the cult. Just then, Zijing crept closer with her gun raised. But before she could fire, Byzantine pulled the same trick again. A massive cloud of smoke erupted instantly. Watching him slip away once more, the priest flew into a rage, cursing nonstop. He vented all his fury on the mercenaries, hurling insults at them. Qi Ming refused to take it, pointing right at the priest's nose as the two shouted back and forth. But with explosive spiders hanging from their necks, the mercenaries had no choice but to keep searching obediently. Meanwhile, Byzantine, drained from overusing his energy, was struck by Zijing's bloody assault. The Eye of Apocalypse kept flashing warnings of core damage. His heart sank. He didn't know how much longer his energy would hold out, praying silently they would give up the chase. But that hope quickly vanished as Qi Ming and the others clung to him like glue, shouting at him to stop hiding. When Byzantine secretly observed Qi Ming, he noticed the same explosive spider dangling from his neck. That's when he realized they were only helping the cult because they were being threatened. Byzantine gave a silent command to his crimson-winged crow, "Don't kill." In the next instant, the crow shot forth like a blazing meteor across the night sky, dazzling even in the darkness. Qi Ming and Old Duan were momentarily captivated by the meteor above. But then Old Duan felt a sudden chill down his spine. He quickly pulled his serpent into his arms, taking the full brunt of the crow's jet of flames himself. The violent explosion immediately drew Qi Ming's attention. When he saw it was Byzantine's crimson-winged crow, he instantly ordered his fire monkey to attack. Just as the monkey's massive fist was about to smash into the crow, the crimson-winged crow burst forth with the speed of a purple crystal-ranked beast, vanishing before its eyes. By the time the fire monkey reacted, the crow was already behind it. At the same time, the crimson-winged crow's ultimate move, Solar Blaze, erupted. The airborne fire monkey was forced to take the devastating blast head-on. Watching from the side, dozens of meters away, Qi Ming sneered coldly, saying there was nothing left to discuss. Byzantine would be taken back tonight. But Byzantine was not someone to be dragged away like prey. Spiritual power surged over his entire body. There was no avoiding this fight. In an instant, their clashing powers erupted, firelight illuminating the night sky. The Crimson-Winged Crow and Byzantine both engaged their foes head-on. Yet the stalemate didn't last long, as the Eye of Apocalypse sent out urgent warnings of depleted energy. Qi Ming frowned, baffled by the sudden defensive shield Byzantine had unleashed. Byzantine ignored him, shoving the shield forward with full force. Such a move was unheard of, something even Qi Ming had never seen before. Yet for a seasoned veteran like him, it was meaningless. With just a surge of spiritual power, he shattered the shield with ease. He sneered, mocking Byzantine as nothing more than a pampered young master with no real combat experience. Then Qi Ming unleashed his C-rank talent, power reinforcement, and charged straight at Byzantine. Byzantine had planned to dodge with his movement techniques during the onslaught, but Qi Ming unexpectedly went for close-quarters combat instead. With little refined technique, the clash looked more like a street brawl. Even while being suppressed, Byzantine pressed him. Why serve the spider cult? Even if they captured him, the cult would never let them live. But Qi Ming, as if possessed, only scoffed. What would a rich kid like you know? Since you've asked so sincerely, I'll be merciful and tell you. Byzantine suddenly grabbed Qi Ming's head and smashed it with a brutal headbutt. Qi Ming never expected this so-called young master to use such a self-destructive move. Pinning him to the ground, Byzantine revealed the method to remove the explosive spiders. Even at a disadvantage, Qi Ming remained stubborn, demanding why he should believe him. Byzantine didn't hold back. He dragged the hidden assassin serpent out from the forest. Exposed, the serpent dropped all pretense. He tossed out a smoke grenade and pressed a pistol to Byzantine's head. Moments later, Byzantine was forced before the spider cult priest. Qi Ming immediately demanded the removal of the explosive spiders. But the priest went back on his word, ordering them to bring out Xiao Gubai as well. Qi Ming was just about to curse him out when the priest cut him off coldly. Do you really need me to remind you that there are bombs strapped to your necks? Left speechless, Qi Ming dropped the act and ordered his men to strike. The instant the order came, Mad Wolf fired first, pulling the trigger on the priest. But firearms meant nothing to a gold-ranked beast master. The bullets were instantly blocked by his protective shield. Still, that opening gave Qi Ming and the others their chance. They charged the priest at full speed. In fact, during the smoke cover a few minutes earlier, Byzantine had already told Qi Ming how to disable the explosive spiders. Qi Ming responded only with a gesture for silence. Confused, Byzantine then heard the assassin's serpent whisper that the spiders might have a listening function and told him to keep his voice down. But for someone like Byzantine, who had already seen through everything, such a warning was unnecessary. He calmly revealed that they were nothing more than mutated spirit beasts. He then laid out the full plan to Qi Ming. The spiders could only be controlled through the priest's staff. Destroy the spider sack on it, and the explosive spiders on their necks would lose all power. Now, the plan was moving in the right direction. The spider cult priest was being forcefully pinned down by Old Duan. The assassin serpent seized the chance and lunged straight for the priest's staff. But the priest, a peak gold-ranked beast master, easily flung Old Duan away from behind. He also caught the assassin serpent mid-strike. As he hurled the serpent aside, he activated the explosive spiders on everyone's necks. Yet this too was within Byzantine's plan. Once triggered, the spiders didn't explode instantly. Their fuses were deliberately long. At that moment, the priest would inevitably drop his guard. And just as Zijing was about to strike, the priest suddenly clutched her throat in one hand. But this was also part of Byzantine's design. Though a gold-ranked shield was powerful, once the priest was engaged up close, it was useless, providing no protection. Caught in his grasp, Zijing twisted her blade and drove it straight at the staff. By the time the priest realized, it was already too late. In the next instant, the spider's sack shattered under the knife. At the same time, every explosive spider lost its effect. The priest gave a cold snort and flung Zijing aside. Thanks to the cushioning of both Old Duan and Qi Ming, she remained unharmed. The very next second, however, the group bolted like wild horses, and Bai Ziyin could only shake his head. He was used to this by now. Having been mocked and outplayed again and again, the priest finally snapped, forming seals rapidly with both hands. He unleashed his beast talent, Spirit Domain, Blackgate. In an instant, everything within 100 meters was swallowed by writhing purple matter. Qi Ming and the others, who had barely made it halfway out, were blocked in place by the spreading substance. Inside the sealed domain, the priest loomed like a god of his own pocket world, releasing all of his spirit beasts at once. Their appearances were grotesque and nightmarish, but each one radiated the aura of a gold-ranked beast. Faced with a horde of bizarre spirit beasts, Bai Ziyin pinned his hopes on the dumb bird perched on his arm. He ignored the doubtful look the crimson-winged crow shot his way. In the next instant, he unleashed Ming Xiaokong's signature Beastmaster talent, Spirit Fusion. Instead of any absurd beast swallowing its master, the crow's overwhelming fire energy transformed in a blazing armor that wrapped tightly around him. Once the armor fully formed, Bai Ziyin's spiritual power underwent a total metamorphosis. His original water attribute converted entirely to fire, and even the restriction from his damaged core vanished. He couldn't help but sigh. It was a pity for Ming Xiaokong. With such a powerful talent, he had wasted it, only for Bai Ziyin to claim it now. Seeing Bai Ziyin merge with his crow, the priest gasped in disbelief. Such a rare possession talent actually existed in this world. Yet he sneered that Bai Ziyin was still too young, too blind to grasp the hidden meaning behind his words. Sure enough, a spider with the body of a ghost-faced beast crept up silently behind him. By the time Bai Ziyin noticed, the spider had already unleashed its exclusive skill, Terrifying Gaze. In an instant, his body froze stiff, locked in place, just as he was trapped and helpless. A massive eye tore through the void above his head. The Eye of Apocalypse cast a single glance at the priest. The priest shuddered uncontrollably, his body racked with chills. The binding of Terrifying Gaze shattered instantly. When Bai Ziyin turned to the spider, it cowered in the corner, trembling as if under an unseen threat. Realizing his beast was useless, the priest mounted the Kailuo beast and charged straight at him. But as the protagonist, Bai Ziyin had no fear. He activated Smokefire Impact and met the cult priest head-on. Still unable to fully control his newfound power, he misstepped, barely brushing past the Kailuo beast in midair. Even so, the overwhelming boost from Fusion steeled his resolve. He would challenge this peak gold-ranked priest head-to-head. To the priest, however, this bronze-ranked beast master was nothing short of suicidal. The next moment, the two clashed fiercely in the sky. To the mercenaries watching below, it was nothing less than gods battling. There was no way for them to interfere. As they stared in awe, a glob of purple slime suddenly dripped onto Old Duan's shoulder. Alarmed, they turned around. A ghastly corpse beast, neither man nor ghost, was glaring at them hungrily. Close behind came parasitic bats and a giant spider. In a heartbeat, the mercenaries bolted like lightning. Meanwhile, Bai Ziyin and the priest had already exchanged over 300 blows, yet neither could claim the upper hand. The Kailuo beast finally lost patience. It began charging up its strongest ultimate, Netherflame Inferno. But to Bai Ziyin, now free of any energy restrictions, this was nothing but suicide. He instantly activated the turbo boosters on his armor. As they spun at high speed, every bit of fire energy was drawn into his right fist. In the next moment, both sides finished charging, and their immense powers surged outward, sweeping across the battlefield. By the so-called law of no-death explosions, both the priest and I were blasted away by the shockwave. But with the Crimson Winged Crow's overwhelming firepower, my body was the first to falter under the strain. The priest wasn't unscathed either. His mask cracked apart under the blast. When it finally shattered, his wide, cartoonish eyes glared straight at me. That strike had overturned his view of me, and he resolved to fight with his full power. As he chanted in a low voice, purple matter gushed from the black gate behind him, wrapping around his body. The four beasts he had scattered across the battlefield were ensnared by the spreading substance. Countless tendrils dragged them into the egg-like cocoon with him. Once their fusion was complete, a massive claw burst out from the cocoon. When priest and beast fully merged, a towering monster, dozens of meters tall, loomed before me. The sight alone left me stunned. But in that brief daze, a giant hand had already seized me. No matter how I struggled, I couldn't move even one of his fingers. If before, fusing with the crimson-winged crow gave me a fighting chance, now the priest stood as an untouchable king. Killing him above my rank was pure fantasy. Seeing me thrash uselessly, he raised both hands high and slammed me brutally into the ground, the crash echoing through the domain. Thanks to the crow's armor, I survived with only a brief blackout. When I came to again, the vast gulf between us was painfully clear. Just as the priest demanded, I joined the spider cult and serve him. A cannon shell slammed directly into his forehead. He snapped his head toward the direction of the shot. There was Qi Ming, alongside his pet emperor beetle, raining down artillery fire. When the priest turned to glare at him, Qi Ming unleashed his exclusive skill, verbal barrage, cursing the priest at the top of his lungs while his beetle kept firing nonstop. Yet despite the noisy assault, the blast barely tickled the priest. From behind, old Duan muttered, "Boss, that trump card of yours doesn't seem all that great." But Qi Ming only smirked wickedly. Who said I only had one trump card? Under the Emperor Beetle's barrage of firepower, as dense as falling rain, the priest's full attention was drawn away. At that moment, the camouflaged fire lizard, which had been hidden all along, suddenly appeared behind Bai Ziyan. The priest also sensed something was wrong. Just as his massive hand was about to crush Bai Ziyan, the fire lizard seized him tightly. In the blink of an eye, Bai Ziyan vanished together with the lizard, leaving the priest's giant palm to slam into empty air. While the priest was still puzzling over Bai Ziyan's sudden disappearance, the boy had already been carried to Qi Ming's rear. Seeing this, Qi Ming immediately ordered the assassin, Serpent, to take Bai Ziyan back for treatment. Meanwhile, he chose to stay behind and hold the priest at bay alone. Witnessing Qi Ming's resolve, Bai Ziyan couldn't help but ask why he would help him. Qi Ming glanced back and replied flatly, "No reason. I just don't want to owe certain people a debt." In the next moment, his mind linked with the Emperor Beetle, unleashing a torrent of blazing fire energy. The enraged priest lifted his colossal foot, unclean from years of neglect, and stomped down toward Qi Ming. The Emperor Beetle, living up to its name, braced itself and met the crushing foot head-on. At the same time, the fire lizard appeared from behind the priest. By the time he realized, its wing slash had already carved across his eye. Meanwhile, under Zijing's technological examination, Bai Ziyan finally discovered the reason for his sudden weakness. Water and fire had always been incompatible. The crow's fire energy was clashing with his own water energy. Simply put, the conflict caused blockages in his body, preventing full fusion. If he could smooth the energy flow, he could achieve his true, complete form. Hearing that unblocking the energy would solve the problem, the assassin Serpent proudly pulled out his so-called surgical tools, 5 fingernails that hadn't been clipped in years. At the sight, Bai Ziyan froze in horror, instinctively edging backward. The serpent leaned close. Even his left arm, once left bare without armor, was now fully cloaked in blazing fire energy. Bai Ziyan felt it clearly, a surge of unprecedented strength flooding his entire body. The Eye of Apocalypse chimed in with a friendly reminder. Feng Yin is now available. Without the prompt, he might have forgotten he was still linked to Feng Qianyu. Meanwhile, Qi Ming and the Emperor Beetle were barely holding on against the priest's relentless attacks. Just as the beetle was about to collapse, Bai Ziyan broke free of his restraints and stepped forward to shield them. He told Qi Ming only to find a good spot to spectate, then strode alone to face the priest. The moment he activated Feng Yan, fire energy within him boiled over, and a pair of blazing wings of pure energy burst open behind his back. The Eye of Apocalypse flashed another prompt. Burning Sacrifice activated. Each fire skill used would accumulate sacrifice points based on its energy cost. Stage 1. Amplify all fire skills. Stage 2. Enter Nirvana state. Able to nullify one fatal blow. Transformations. The priest scoffed. So many fancy toys. You think a new skin makes you a Real fighter? Then he unleashed his fused exclusive skill. Shadow Spikes. Jagged lances of spiritual energy bursting from the ground. But to Byzian, now in full fusion, the attack was laughably slow. With just a few flickers, he slipped past them all. In the blink of an eye, he closed in and launched a blazing charge. The strike slammed straight into the priest's face. Decades of accumulated strength buckled under the blow. The priest staggered, barely holding himself together. But Byzian wasn't finished. He triggered the turbo booster on his gauntlet. In the next moment, with Sunset Hellfire roaring to life, a torrent of fire energy erupted across the battlefield. By now, Stage 1 of the sacrifice had finally reached 100%. The Crimson Wing Crow's skills surged across the board, each one imbued with the Solar Blaze effect. Having taken Sunset Hellfire head-on, the priest raged about no honor, his right cheek sizzling and bubbling under the flames. Just as he prepared to let Byzian taste his own ultimate, Byzian cut him off with a clean uppercut, smashing the charged spell back down. Bolstered by the attributes of 4 fused beasts, the priest refused to yield. Seeing he still wouldn't quit, Byzian gathered power to end it in a single strike. In the next heartbeat, a blinding beam lanced out from Byzian toward the priest. Already devastating as a nuclear ray, now amplified by Feng Yan, its might was terrifying. With a tortured scream, a blazing phoenix soared skyward, lighting the entire night over Jialing Town. Arriving late, Qi Xiaoxia gasped, "That power's on diamond rank already. How did Qi Ming and the others get dragged into this?" Once the helicopter touched down, Mad Wolf laid out everything they had faced in the rainforest. Staring at the scorched crater, Qi Xiaoxia's face hardened. A blast this loud will definitely wake the Rainforest Lord. At Ground Zero, the mercenaries muttered, 2 nukes in 2 days. If we were the target, we'd have reincarnated 10 times. Remembering the culprit, they shouted Byzian's name toward the blast center. Seeing him still standing, their hearts finally eased. But within 2 seconds, Byzian collapsed, blood streaming from his mouth and nose. The Eye of Apocalypse flashed a prompt, side effects of the stimulant. The assassin's serpent, looking innocent, explained he'd forgotten to warn him in the chaos. Before he could finish, roots all around sprang to life, trouble piling onto trouble. Qi Ming instantly recognized the handiwork of the Rainforest Lord. He flared his energy and ordered the squad to evacuate with Byzian at once. But vines surged like a flood from every direction. Bullets and strikes did nothing to stop them. With no path forward, the breakout failed. Everyone was trapped. The vines kept growing, weaving upward into the sky. When the forest finally stilled, the true master revealed itself. The frenzied banana tree, lord of the rainforest. By then, everyone was trapped inside the Rainforest Lord's body. Qi Ming was drenched in sweat. After precise instrument checks, Zijing reported the bad news. 0 signal, no contact with the outside, and oxygen would last only 30 minutes. Hearing this, Qi Ming punched a branch in fury. He kept blaming himself under his breath. Seeing it, Byzian calmly reminded him, "The more agitated you are, the faster you burn oxygen. Save your strength. You're their leader, acting like you swallowed something foul. Have you thought how that looks to the people who trust you? In moments like this, keep cool. Most importantly, believe in those who believe in you." Elsewhere, Qi Xiaoxia found no leads and sprinted toward the Rainforest Lord's location. Clues suggested the team was nearby. A rescue would likely alert the Lord. Instead of tiptoeing, strike first. As she planned the takedown, a broken distress call crackled over the comms. "We're inside the Rainforest Lord." Perfect timing. No need to slay it first. Just crack it open and pull them out. Qi Xiaoxia unleashed her power. A small crimson demon ape emerged from her beast space. Modest in size, but still a gold-ranked terror. She triggered the ape's exclusive skill, Spirit Imbuement. The ape slowly fused in her baseball bat. Fusion complete, Qi Xiaoxia spun 360 degrees midair and dive-bombed the rainforest lord beneath the chopper. With absolute vision, the lord noticed her approach at once. Vines erupted in all directions, but backfired, serving as stepping stones under her feet. Free power is still power. With a wild grin, a violent aura wrapped around her bat. The unguarded rainforest lord took a headshot. Its skull cracked open in one blow. The force didn't stop, cleaving straight down its head. Inside the lord, the team flinched at the sudden crimson lightning. Qi Ming quickly realized the energy felt familiar. As the light faded, a red-haired delinquent girl wrapped in lightning stood before them. Recognizing her, Qi Ming dropped his vice captain act, turned into a puppy, and lunged at Qi Xiaoxia, crying "sis" over and over. Qi Xiaoxia, however, looked like she'd met a plague god, pure disdain on her face. With a crisp smack, one punch flattened Qi Ming to the floor. From old Duan's expression alone, it was obvious their captain doted on this crew more than a little. After Qi Xiaoxia ordered Mad Wolf on the helicopter to drop the rope ladder, she urged everyone to climb aboard at once. As the team scrambled up one by one, the rainforest lord's bisected body began visibly knitting back together. They all knew its regeneration was strong, but this speed was terrifying. Standing on the ladder, Qi Xiaoxia sensed danger and prepared to order retreat when a laser beam shot skyward, blasting her out of midair. Qi Ming cried out in horror. Yet Qi Xiaoxia remained calm, flipping midair to stop her fall while tossing curses back at her brother. Steadying herself, crimson lightning surged once more across her body. Using the vines as springboards, she rocketed upward. With a sharp landing, she dropped neatly into the cabin. Bai Ziyan and Qi Ming both gawked with jaws wide open. Qi Xiaoxia, unimpressed, flipped the rainforest lord an international gesture. The team then flew the helicopter straight out. Once clear of the rainforest lord's territory, Qi Ming recounted everything that had happened. When Qi Xiaoxia heard Bai Ziyan had saved them from the cult priest, she clasped her fists in salute. Qi Xiaoxia, gold rank beast master. Bai Ziyan returned the gesture. Bai Ziyan, bronze rank beast master. Seeing her strength firsthand, Bai Ziyan couldn't help but connect her with the two granddaughters of Qiwing City. Upon hearing his surname, Qi Xiaoxia bluntly asked if he was from the Bai family of White Spirit City. Qi Ming shivered at the question. Bai Ziyan made no attempt to hide his identity, admitting he was the Bai clan's young master. So by that logic, the Bai City Lord is your grandfather? Qi Xiaoxia all but wore "I don't believe you" on her face. She stepped forward, gripped his chin, and warned, "Our mercenary corps has been around a long time. Every city lord knows us, your grandfather included. But plenty of fools have tried faking the Bai name to scam us. You're the first to call yourself the young master." She then explained, in chilly detail, what happened to imposters. Details best left to the imagination. Bai Ziyan, usually composed, actually flinched, just as he wondered what cruel test she'd use. Qi Xiaoxia simply leaned in and sniffed him. A satisfied smile spread across her face. "Looks like you really are the Bai heir." Witnessing this bizarrely intimate gesture, Qi Ming barked in outrage. Back to business. After surviving fire and blood, Qi Ming still felt something missing. With his reminder, Bai Ziyan suddenly recalled Qiao Gubai was still in his beast space. Entering the space, he froze at the sight before him. Qiao Gubai was cocooned in crystalline spider silk, gleaming purple like amethyst. Carrying her out of the space, Bai Ziyan was met with a barrage of adjectives from the Qi siblings. But what puzzled him most was how he could house another person in his beast space. Even Bai Ziyan, usually steady as stone, felt rattled. Qi Xiaoxia, hardened by years in the field, had never seen anything like it. Examining the crystal that resembled spirit stones, she suggested it might be a triggered protection mechanism. though it could also mean Byzantium's B space was far too powerful. All eyes turned to the team's only doctor, the assassin serpent, who scratched his head. Could be either, but safest to run some checks. Hearing there was hope, Qi Xiaoxia immediately ordered the chopper to turn toward the nearest town, Jialing. Not all in the spider cult were alike. As descendants of natives who worshipped the Spider Empress, they had long since split. Radicals of the Sunfire faction and the conservatives of the Moonshadow faction. Those who attacked White Scale City and the priest Arthur who hunted by Xian were all members of the Sunfire Radicals. Upon learning of Arthur's death, the Sunfire faction's high priest, Solaris, convened an emergency council. Though Arthur ranked 6th among the 6 high priests, his strength was unquestionable, already brushing the diamond tier. To kill him would take at least a quasi-diamond beastmaster. The only ones near the incident site with that level were Bai Jingchong of White Scale City and the Lord of Giantwood City. Hearing the analysis, the high priest immediately dismissed the first option, Bai Jingchong's half-crippled. That leaves only the Giantwood City Lord. The fourth added, the Banana Grove is Moonshadow territory. We can't rule them out. The high priest said coolly, whoever opposes the Sunfire will pay the price. He then assigned the onerous task to the silent fifth priest, Asmodin. She merely gave a curt salute of compliance. The high priest continued with his second announcement, one that touched the very survival of the Sunfire faction. A towering projection of the Spider Empress flared above them. As you can see, the Empress is entering dormancy. The sacred body is shifting toward Moonshade. Since the massacre 25 years ago, the Empress has remained in Sunfire. Why the sudden sleep now? By long-standing cycles, Moonshade should come once every 90 years. This time it has arrived far too early. Is it tied to the recent celestial anomalies? Or is the Empress evolving? Discussion erupted, too many unstable factors. Regardless, the High Priest declared, this upheaval concerns our very survival. At all costs, remove the obstacles. The third priest, Diego Barro, stepped forward to request the mission of preventing the Moonshadow faction from receiving the Empress's blessing. The High Priest, surprised by Barro's initiative, still warned, they may lack the blessing, but Moonshadow aren't pushovers. Tread carefully. With tacit approval granted, a single chant echoed through the hall. Mother of all spiders, eternal. As the council dispersed, Barrow called out to council chamber. Meanwhile, Byzantium's group had reached Jialing town. They rushed Xiao without hesitation. Qi Xiaoxia led him toward a room. Along the way, she warned, when you see this person, don't lose control. But Byzantium, lost in thoughts of how Xiao Gubai ended up like this, barely registered her words. Just then, the beast backlash inside him erupted, pain and thorn-like agony magnets before following her forward. When Qi Xiaoxia pushed open the door, a cloaked figure of the spider cult came into view. It was a middle-aged man, casually eating instant noodles. The sight made by Xian's scalp prickle, a storm of doubts rising inside him. Qi Xiaoxia calmly explained the situation to the man. But by Xian's killing intent flared violently, and a voice hissed in his ears. Kill him. It was because of them your grandfather was ruined. Because of them White Scale City's people were left in ruins. The man, a cultist called Hossein, listened to her explanation, then stepped forward to Bai Xian. Compared to the child you mentioned, I think this young brother needs help more. Hearing the word help from the mouth of a cultist shattered Bai Xian's control. He snapped open his beast space and unleashed the white-scaled Leviathan. At that moment, crimson thorns burst from Bai Xian's beast space, tearing the courtyard apart. Yet to Hossein, it was nothing. He flipped gracefully out of the way, not spilling a drop of broth from the instant noodles in his hand. Half emerged from the beast space, the white-scaled Leviathan looked more like a feral beast than the harmless creature it once seemed. Noticing the beast space hadn't fully opened, Hossein actually looked impressed. Keeping your sanity under this? Since you've managed to hold your beast back, I'll lend you a hand. He intoned, Mother of spiders, forgive my sins. My blade cuts demons and wraiths, never the innocent. Grant me the strength to save the people. With that, he raised his katana, drawing circles in the air as he shouted, synchro summon. One would expect an 8-foot monster at least. Instead, his pet turned out to be a green-skinned imp in a loincloth. But the strength Hossein and his wood spirit displayed, next shattered by Xian's understanding of power. If the red demon ape's possession boosted weapon power, then the wood spirit's skill, wind bind, enhanced the body itself. The Berserk Leviathan, seeing this, charged up its ultimate move, Abyssal Water Corrosion. Yet against Hossein's agility, he dodged with a single effortless leap. In the next instant, Hossein stepped through the air with wind bind and lunged straight at the Leviathan. But just as his blade was about to strike, he spun and pulled the attack back mid-swing. I told you, one who saves cannot rely on slaughter. He lifted his right hand, focusing energy into his index finger. A crisp snap rang out. The wind-charged flick of his finger knocked the Leviathan straight back into the beast space. When the smoke cleared, Xian lay sprawled in the rubble, motionless. When his eyes opened again, he was being enveloped by streams of green spirit liquid. Unlike modern medical equipment, these devices were etched with strange runes and patterns. Before he could examine them, 2 fingers suddenly jammed into his nostrils. Half-dazed, he was jolted awake by the absurd intrusion. He thought it was only a bizarre dream, until he sat fully upright and realized everything was real. The wounds from days of fierce battles were nearly gone.